All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is our community's house. We are all guests in it here to serve our community. My name is Mike Little, Mayor of the District of North Vancouver. So the pleasure falls to me to welcome you all here to our public hearing for April 14th at 7 o'clock. A public hearing is a quasi-judicial setting set down in provincial legislation. And so I have a little bit of a script that I have to go through to keep us on track with the regulations. So bear with me while I go through this to get us started. This is the public hearing for 1246 to 1268 Lynn Valley Road and 3050 to 3174 Baird Road, amendments to the official community plan and zoning bylaw. This public hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act and is being held in a hybrid meeting format, meaning there is a combination of in-person and electronic participation by some or all of the members of council or by staff and the public. The hearing is being streamed live over the internet and recorded in accordance with the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Public participation in this hearing is being accommodated by speakers having signed up in advance, as stated in the notice of public hearing, as well as observers being provided Zoom meeting information on the DNV website and in the notice of public hearing. Written submissions will be received by the corporate officer on behalf of and shared with the council at any time up until the time the hearing is closed. These may be submitted to input@dnv.org. Therefore, in this manner, all persons will be afforded a reasonable opportunity to be heard or to present written submissions. The chair has established the following rules for this public hearing. 1, following the staff and applicant presentations, we will go through the established speakers list. At the end of the speakers list, the chair may call for any other speakers not on the speakers list. 2, speakers will have 5 minutes to address council for a first time and are asked to begin their remarks to council by stating their name. 3, after everyone who wishes to speak has spoken once, speakers will then be allowed one additional 5-minute opportunity. 4, any additional presentations will only be allowed at the discretion of the chair. Speakers are reminded to not repeat information from their previous presentations and to ensure all comments remain focused on the bylaws under consideration this evening. 5, if a written submission has been provided, there's no need to read it as it will have already been seen by the council. Speakers may summarize or briefly reiterate the highlights of the submission. 6, all members of the audience are asked to be respectful of one another as diverse opinions are expressed. Council wishes to hear everyone's views in an open and impartial forum. Some important notes about public hearings, and we do still have some seats down at the front here and spread throughout. If people could sort of maybe move to the aisle, maybe we can create some more spaces for people to filter in as the room fills up. Some important notes about public hearings. Council's here to listen to the public, not to debate the merits of the bylaw. Council may ask clarifying questions. The corporate officer has a binder containing documents and submissions related to the bylaw, which council has received and which you are welcome to review. This is available on the table next to the door and online at dnv.org/agenda. Everyone at the hearing will be provided an opportunity. If necessary, we will continue on a second night. At the conclusion of the public input, council may request further information from staff, which may or may not require an extension of the hearing, or council may close the hearing, after which council should not receive further new information from the public. And I will say, just to reiterate, 2 things. People can participate in person or virtually throughout the course of this process. But as it stands, all 7 members of the council are here and present. Therefore, all 7 members of the council can participate in the vote when this item comes back for second and third reading. I will also say, a lot of people come to a public hearing with the expectation that it's going to be a Q&A session. It's not. Unfortunately, this is the best opportunity for you to give your feedback, and the council's here largely just to receive your feedback at the public hearing. If you still have questions going forward about the project, you can talk to our staff, you can talk to the applicant to get clarifying answers to those questions. But the public hearing is for us to hear your comments and concerns, not to do a question and answer session. And I know a lot of people do come here with the impression that they'll be able to ask questions. Unfortunately, that's for the meetings that preceded this, or directly to our staff, or directly to the applicant. Okay, at this point, I'm going to turn to the clerk and have you read the matter into the record, please.
Thank you, through your worship. District of North Vancouver Official Community Plan 7900-2011, Amendment Bylaw 8779-2026, Amendment 62. Bylaw 8779 proposes to amend the OCP in general terms by changing the land use designation of the subject site from residential level 5 low density apartment RES 5 to residential level 6 medium density apartment RES 6, and by changing the land use designation from residential level 6 medium density apartment RFES 6 to commercial residential mixed use level 2 CRMU2, and to designate the subject site as a development permit area for energy and water conservation and greenhouse gas emission reduction. And District of North Vancouver rezoning bylaw 1463, bylaw 8780. Bylaw 8780 proposes to amend the district zoning bylaw in general terms by adding a definition for commercial establishments, providing instructional services, and rezoning the Lynn Valley portion of the site, general commercial C2 zone, and the Draycott Gardens portion of the site, multifamily residential zone 3, RM3 zone to natural parkland, NPL, and a new proposed comprehensive development zone 162, CD 132. Thank you.
Great. At this point, we do have an opportunity for a presentation from our staff. So we have Mackenzie Stonehocker, one of the planners of the District of North Vancouver, and you have up to 15 minutes to make your presentation to the council. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and members of council. My name is Mackenzie Stonehocker, and I'm one of the district's development planners. Tonight, this proposal is before council for a public hearing. In tonight's presentation, I'll give an overview of the proposal, and weaving through my presentation are answers to some of council's questions from first reading. The site is 3.5 acres located in the heart of Lynn Valley Town Centre, near the intersection of Lynn Valley Road and Mountain Highway. Draycott Gardens is a 32-unit rental townhouse complex built in 1972. Lynn Valley Mall was also built more than 50 years ago and provides a range of services to the neighborhood, including restaurants, retail, personal service, tutoring, veterinary office, and laundromat. To the south is the core commercial center, including the village, library, and main shopping center. There are also commercial services on the north side of the road, including Ross Plaza and the medical building known as Valley Center. 2 gas stations are nearby, with Petro-Canada adjacent to the site. To the north and west of the site are detached homes, townhouses, and multifamily residential. Note that 3161 and 3191 are accessed from Mountain Highway. Finally, Hastings Creek flows near the northeast corner of the site before flowing under Mountain Highway and under Lynn Valley Road. The proposal is nearly compliant with the OCP, except for a 1-step increase in density on the west side of the site from 1.75 to 2.5 FSR. The proposal is for 2.5 FSR across the entire site, which is 4 6-story buildings under the current proposal. Over the next 2 slides, I'll walk you through the project. The south lane off Baird Road would become the driveway while maintaining access to the properties on the south side, such as Ross Plaza. There are 4 buildings, all 6 stories tall and built in 2 phases. Looking at the site plan, the south lane becomes the driveway, accessing a 2-level parkade. There are 4 buildings constructed in 2 phases. Building 1 includes 2 levels of commercial and 4 levels of rental, while the others would be strata residential. In the northeast corner, there's a streamside protection area, which will be zoned natural parkland and replanted with native species. Along Lynn Valley Road, a significant road dedication and right-of-way is proposed for future transit infrastructure, 8.5 meters or 28 feet. The exact design of this area is not yet confirmed. The drawings in the report show a concept, but the combination of bus stop, trees, sidewalks, bike lane, etc., is still under staff engineering review. As anticipated in the Lynn Valley design guidelines, a town center pedestrian path would run north-south through the site. It starts or ends at the southern tip of the site, near the pedestrian-controlled crosswalk at mall access. Baird Road is a thoroughfare of Argyle students, so beyond the usual sidewalk in front of the site, the proposal extends the sidewalk south to Ross Road. With these new north-south pedestrian routes, there are also east-west sidewalks along both lanes to provide pedestrian connections separate from vehicles. At such a visible location in the town center, a significant public art installation is proposed. Further details will come through the public art process as part of the development permit. Finally, in addition to private balconies, each phase includes outdoor space for the future residents. The proposal is specifically phased to avoid a temporary move for the current tenants of Draycott Gardens. Lynn Valley Mall would be demolished and phase 1 would be constructed. When the rental replacement homes are ready, Draycott tenants can move straight from their existing homes into the new building at their current rents if they so choose. Then the west side will be demolished and phase 2 would be constructed. Throughout the process, the lanes will remain open for the adjacent properties. Next, I'll explain more about Building 1. This building is a critical part of the project, with ground floor commercial along Lynn Valley Road and second floor office space. Overall, the building matches the commercial space of the existing mall, about 25,000 square feet. The permitted uses are different on the 2 floors to support vibrant street-level uses like restaurants and retail, as well as to leave options open for the existing commercial tenants to return. The upper floors contain rental residential units. I'd like to clarify one thing from my staff report at first reading. The report says Building 1 will have a covenant to secure it as rental tenure. This only applies to the residential units. If the applicant chooses to stratify the commercial space, that would be permitted. In total, the proposal includes 64 rental homes. 32 are 3-bedroom units in case all 32 households from Draycott Gardens choose to move into the building. I'll get into how that works now. The project falls under the district's residential tenant relocation assistance policy, and 2 options are proposed for tenants, which would be secured in the development covenant. Option 1 goes above and beyond our trap. Once Building 1 is ready, tenants could move straight into their existing townhouse into a new 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, and most importantly, their current rent would be the new rent on their new lease. Half of the households at Draycott Gardens are long-term tenants, having lived there for 13 to 34 years. Their rents are relatively low, below DNB median, and Lynn Valley is their home. The applicant has phased the project so these folks aren't forced into a temporary relocation. However, moving into Building 1 may not be the right choice for everyone. In that case, they can choose Option 2, which provides relocation assistance and financial compensation as per the RTRAP policy. For households who choose Option 2, they can move at their convenience. Either way, the applicant will provide $1,500 to cover moving expenses, either into Building 1 or elsewhere for folks who choose Option 2. Most importantly, the proposal is designed to provide Draycott tenants with flexibility and choice in this difficult transition, providing secure rental housing to stay in the neighborhood if that's the right move for them. One more thing worth mentioning. The application as submitted was that these units would revert to market rental when Draycott tenants move out. Some members of the public and council have noted concern with this aspect, and the applicant is prepared to respond to those concerns. In terms of the district's housing targets under the OCP, Lynn Valley is achieving approximately 46% of its estimated demand of 2,500 units by the year 2030. This proposal would contribute significantly to these targets. While the current real estate market is difficult for strata development, the applicant has long-term experience providing this type of housing in this particular neighborhood. Community engagement followed the district's process with an in-person public information meeting and a 2-week virtual PIM. 87 pieces of input were received in 2025, which generally supported commercial revitalization, recognized the need for more housing and the need to support Draycott tenants, but raised concerns about impacts to the existing neighborhood. Since council gave first reading and scheduled tonight's public hearing, public input has continued to come in. We have letters of support acknowledging the effort to support Draycott tenants, revitalization of the mall, providing population density near transit, and more housing options for people to stay in the neighborhood. However, there are also letters outlining community concerns with increased traffic, parking impacts, or too much density at height. Let's look at some of these issues in detail. Vehicle and bicycle parking are proposed in line with the district's policies and are supported by a robust TDM plan, Transportation Demand Management. For over 90% of the units, we're looking at 1 space per unit. The parking ratios are slightly lower for 1 and 2 bedroom rental units, still in line with the district's policy. Overall, this is a project aimed at households with 1 vehicle. Staff concur with the professional report supporting this parking rate in this location. Lynn Valley Town Center is well supplied with services, schools, employment space, and access to transit. Construction traffic management was raised at first reading as an item of interest. The applicant has provided a preliminary plan, which has been reviewed by staff, and a detailed plan will be provided and approved prior to any demolition or building permits being issued. Key features of the plan include keeping Lynn Valley Road and Baird Road open, unless the work is literally in the street, like upgrading pipes, keeping the south lane open for Draycott tenants and Ross Plaza, though it would be busier than right now with construction traffic, finding off-street parking for trades workers as they cannot rely on local street parking, and especially because it's likely that the street parking along Baird Road will be impacted during construction. As we know, there is no sidewalk, so the applicant will have to create a safe route for students with barriers and flaggers. Traffic is of high interest to the local neighborhood. The applicant has provided a traffic impact assessment, which has been reviewed in detail by district staff with additional sensitivity analyses completed to ensure we're being conservative when considering traffic impacts. First, the 2 existing mall driveways off Lynn Valley Road will be closed. This is a big improvement in terms of reducing vehicle conflicts on Lynn Valley Road and allowing traffic to flow more easily. It also creates space for better transit infrastructure and a more pleasant experience for pedestrians and businesses. But the cars will go somewhere, and in this case, the answer is Baird Road. Some letters from the public suggest that the project should be accessed off Lynn Valley Road. However, using an arterial road for access is not in line with current traffic or safety standards when a less busy road is available. Particularly in this location, moving access away from the complex intersection of Lynn Valley Road and Mountain Highway will improve safety and reduce risk. Yes, it will be slower for cars to navigate Baird Road as it's a local street, which is designed for cars to slow down for safety. The expected traffic increase is about 3 cars per minute in the afternoon peak hour. Even with that increase, anticipated traffic is well within the local road capacity. However, there are changes to the street network that will help mitigate traffic impacts while maintaining or improving safety. First, the left turn lane from Lynn Valley Road onto Ross Road may be closed in one direction. Currently, there's only storage space for 1 vehicle in either direction, which causes issues with the rear ends of vehicles sticking into the through lane. Second, the existing 4-way stop at Frome and 29th would be converted to a signal to help traffic flow and help cyclists and pedestrians get through safely. Third, the light at Lynn Valley Road to Frome would have an advanced left turn for vehicles turning north onto Frome, and the left turn lane at Lynn Valley Road onto 29th would be extended. All of these traffic impact mitigation strategies are subject to professional review by the district's transportation department and will be secured through the development covenant to mitigate traffic impacts for both current and future residents. As noted by the public and council, we also have pedestrian traffic in this area. Baird Road is extremely well-used route for Argyle Secondary students walking and riding to and from school. Unfortunately, there's no sidewalk at this point, so pedestrians inevitably walk on the road. The proposal includes a 0.25 meter dedication to accommodate an extra wide 2 meter sidewalk on the east side of Baird to complete the route from Ross to Herald for pedestrians. The other sidewalks and paths provide new options for pedestrians navigating this area, increasing safety and active transportation routes. To support TransLink's long-term plans, the district has negotiated a significant dedication along Lynn Valley Road as part of this project. The dedication has impacted the site design. You can see how building 1 is squeezed between the orange dedication in front and the driveway behind. But dedicating almost 28 feet creates space for future transit infrastructure, as well as the high-quality public realm we expect in a town center. Canopies along the building front for customers of the businesses, sidewalks, and street trees. If the rezoning moves forward, the design will progress according to the district's form and character guidelines, as well as engineering and transportation needs. Some comments from the public raise concerns with building height. Some residents propose a maximum height of 3 or 4 stories, which is not economically viable in today's market, and the Lynn Valley Flexible Framework anticipates 5 stories. The official community plan development permit guidelines actually contemplate 6 stories on the Draycott side. Staff believe that 6 stories fronting Lynn Valley Road is an appropriate scale for the width of this street. Transitioning to the lower density, lower height development on Baird and Herald, the applicant has included a 2-meter, 6-foot step back of the upper 2 stories facing Baird Road. Using materiality and other treatments, this will reduce the visual impact of the upper 2 stories. But unfortunately, the difference in shadow impacts are negligible due to the building height. To reiterate, overall, the project provides substantial financial contributions and community benefits. The dedication along Lynn Valley Road totals about 5,000 square feet, another 257 square feet along Baird Road, and 1,200 square feet is the streamside protection area. The residential tenant relocation assistance plan is flexible and provides long-term stable housing for existing tenants. As reviewed earlier, upgrades to the local street network will increase safety and mitigate traffic impacts. Financially, the applicant will purchase the South Lane for approximately $2 million. Offsite landscaping and infrastructure, including over 400 meters of upgraded sanitary, water, and storm pipes, will cost about $5 million. This is the first major development to fall under the ACC bylaw, which are estimated at over $10 million. And similarly, development cost charges are paid at building permit, estimated at about $13.5 million under the current bylaw rates. In closing, staff recommend in favor of this OCP amendment and rezoning. And before I turn over to the applicant, I would let you know that both staff and the applicant team are available to answer questions.
Thank you, Ms. Stonehocker. Next, we'll have Renee Rose and the applicants.
So, Angie, can you show me that?
Beginning.
Susan, just, oh, okay. I'll do that.
Welcome, and when you're ready to go, you have 15 minutes to make your presentation.
I will get your voice. Okay, thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Renee Rose. I'm the Senior Vice President of Polygon Homes. Also with me here this evening to listen and answer questions are Devin Smart, the Project Development Manager for Polygon, Peter Fodor, the architect from NSDA Architects, and Daniel Fung and Joseph Chow from Bunt and Associates Traffic Engineers. I'd just like to thank Mackenzie for your succinct report and for your guidance through this rezoning process. And thank you to all of the community for taking the time to participate in the discussion about this redevelopment. Polygon recognizes that the community has raised important questions about scale, traffic, safety, infrastructure, and tenant relocation. We appreciate the time and care the community has taken to share this feedback, and we'd like to outline how the proposal has evolved in response. Polygon is a community builder, has been building homes in Lynn Valley for over 20 years. During that time, we have built 581 homes in 6 communities in the Lynn Valley Town Center. Some of you will recognize these buildings. This is Canyon Springs, Juniper, Palacewood, and Hawthorne Rental. As part of these redevelopments, Polygon voluntarily delivered 2 purpose-built rental buildings, replacing the 75 rental homes at Mountain Court and adding 32 rental homes in Evergreen House for a total of 107 rental homes in 2009 and 2020. At the time, these communities were seen by some as too big and too impactful. Today, they are home to 581 families, children, tradespeople, professionals, and empty nesters who are now part of the fabric of the Lynn Valley community. Building on this success and positive reception of these homes, Polygon acquired the Lynn Valley Mall site and the Draycott Gardens property in 2021. The Lynn Valley Mall property presently has 2 vehicular accesses points from Lynn Valley Road. However, for safety reasons, we have been advised that in the future, no vehicular access would be allowed from Lynn Valley Road, and all traffic from the redevelopment must be routed along the south lane to Baird. Also, TransLink is requiring a 30-foot dedication along the full Lynn Valley Road frontage for future rapid transit hub infrastructure. This is an important advancement by TransLink to improve transit in Lynn Valley. At the beginning, our plan was straightforward: to redevelop the Draycott property first, which would have allowed access to the Lynn Valley Mall site. But as we began speaking with residents, we heard some things that caused us to stop and rethink our approach. Many of the long-term tenants told us they wanted to stay. They wanted to remain in Lynn Valley, in the community they've built their lives in. They needed 3-bedroom homes, and they were concerned about being able to afford any increase in rent. That feedback was important. And it led us to take a step back and ask, how can we do this better? So rather than moving forward with 2 separate redevelopments, we looked at a different approach, one that would prioritize continuity for those residents. The result is a phased plan that begins with building on the Lynn Valley Mall site first, allowing Draycott tenants to remain in their homes and in their community throughout the process. This approach allows Draycott tenants the opportunity to move into these new homes before the second phase of homes are built. It enables the residents who have lived in the community for decades to remain close to their jobs, schools, and neighbors. Draycott tenants will have a choice. They may accept the district's new tenant relocation package, and Polygon would support them finding a new home. Or they may choose to move into the new 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, air-conditioned homes at their existing rents, with the option to stay as long as they would like. At first reading, we heard from the district the interest in securing these 32 rental homes in perpetuity. So we've now committing to securing these rental homes should the Draycott tenants choose not to move in, or when they choose to vacate in the future, as 20% below market rental in perpetuity based on BC Housing's middle income thresholds. The plan is to begin by building 127 homes on the Lynn Valley Mall site over the next 3 years. 32 replacement rental, 32 market rental, 63 strata homes. TransLink is requiring a 30-foot road dedication for better rapid bus transit. All buildings have been kept to 6 stories as permitted in the OCP. We've included 1-to-1 replacement of commercial space, designing the ground floor for retail, restaurants, and pedestrian-friendly stores. Over the past 5 years, we have made significant changes in response to feedback from district planning and engineering staff and the community. We relocated the parkade entry to draw cars further into the site. We added more outdoor amenity for the rental tenants, and we relocated the public plaza at the southwest corner for better visibility and pedestrian connection to the Lynn Valley Mall. We added a town center pathway through the development connecting pedestrians to the mall. Phase 2. After all the Draycott tenants have been relocated, Phase 2 will be built on the Draycott property and will include 270 homes. We heard concerns about pedestrian safety on Baird, particularly that high school students walking to and from Argyle School often walk down the middle of their street where there are no sidewalks. To ensure the access along Baird is transparent and safe, we are proposing to widen the entry lane, add sidewalks and streetlights along the north lane, right through to Ross Road, add sidewalks and landscaping along north and south lanes, and add street lighting to improve visibility and safety, and to set back the buildings on the 5th and 6th floors along Baird. Traffic. We're hearing a lot about traffic. And I want to assure you that the district traffic engineers and Bunt traffic engineers have worked in close consultation and have completed a thorough traffic impact assessment for all the neighborhood and concluded that access to Baird can adequately and safely accommodate all traffic generated from this redevelopment. A few changes are proposed. It's being considered to a left-hand turn lane closed, cross-hatching on the asphalt for no stopping into McDonald's. As we've heard that there are queuing issues at the McDonald's causing cars to veer around the westbound on Ross Road. New traffic signal at From and 29th Street, as more traffic may now be directed east on Ross Road. Upgrading the traffic signal at the entry to Lynn Valley Mall on Lynn Valley Road in front of McDonald's. Adding a new crosswalk on Ross Road on the east side of Baird. And in addition, we will be finalizing a detailed construction traffic management plan with the district engineering for all phases of construction prior to commencing any work on the properties. Supporting infrastructure is an essential part of responsible growth. This proposal includes significant contributions to help fund the infrastructure and community amenities required to support Lynn Valley. The redevelopment will provide $5 million in offsite infrastructure upgrades for sanitary, sewer, water lines, roads, street lighting, traffic management, and intersections. $10.4 million in amenity cost charges that can be spent on local upgrades to community facilities like sports fields, public art, libraries, daycare, and community centers. $7.1 million to district development cost charges that also go to fund district capital infrastructure for roads, water, sanitary, and storm upgrades. We are also providing $2 million to the district for the use of the lane. And we're providing over $6.4 million to Metrovan and TransLink to fund their infrastructure. In summary, this redevelopment proposal provides needed diverse housing in the Lynn Valley Town Center, keeps all buildings to 6 stories, allows 32 tenants to live in place, providing them with new 3-bedroom housing at existing truly affordable rents, provides 32 20% below market rental homes in perpetuity, and provides 32 market rental homes in perpetuity. This is a 2-to-1 rental replacement. This redevelopment also provides 1-to-1 commercial employment generating space, restricts service uses on the ground level to provide active retail and restaurant uses, contributes $30.9 million in funding toward community and regional infrastructure and amenities, provides a critical land dedication for TransLink improvements for Lynn Valley. This redevelopment also addresses traffic and safety concerns, designates the northeast corner of the site as a park dedication for Hastings Creek, provides homes for new families who will support local businesses, provides another walkable, mixed-use, pedestrian-friendly community in the heart of the Lynn Valley Town Center. After 5 years of work and many revisions, we believe this is a balanced proposal that will strengthen and animate the Lynn Valley Town Center and support the overall community. Thank you. We look forward to hearing from the public, and we respectfully ask for your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. All right. I'm going to be straight with you. With the number of people who have signed up, this is going to be a relatively long public hearing. I hope you find a comfortable seat. There are still some seats in a few different locations around the room if you're looking for a spot to sit down. I'll also let you know there's a washroom right across the hall, and we're not going to be offended if you get up and have a walk around. I know this is going to be a bit of a long haul. Just to give you a sense about the time, with about 40 speakers, we probably will not finish the public hearing tonight. And if other people want to add their name to the list, they'll be going after that stage as well. Our second night is planned for tomorrow night, same time, 7 o'clock, but we're not going to make that declaration that we're going to move to a second night until about 9:30. That's when we're going to do a check-in as to how we're progressing throughout the night. When we get to about 9:30, I'm going to take a little bit of a break for people to stand and stretch and get a glass of water. And then we're going to come back and we're going to hear some clarifying questions from the council and the responses from staff at that time. So we're going to try and go for a good solid hour and 45 minutes right now to get a bunch of the public's concerns on the floor and expressed. And then we're going to do a couple of check-ins at that point. But with this number of people all being eligible to speak for at least for 1 5-minute period at first, there's enough to keep us busy for a while. So feel free to stretch if needed. Yes, we actually do have the ability to make the decision tonight to vary the start time tomorrow. And so if we decide we have to go to a second meeting, we may start it as early as 5 o'clock tomorrow, but we'll let you know tonight what we decide to do at that point. There'll be just an opportunity for council to check in before we make that official decision. At this point, I'm going to go to the speakers list again, and we'll update it as need be, but that's the order we're generally going to work through. If we find people who are not here or available, come on up, Duncan. We'll skip them and come back to them later on in the list in order to make sure that everybody gets a reasonable opportunity to be considered. The first speaker this evening is Duncan Wilcock, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you are ready, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
I left my glasses. I might be in trouble.
Oh,
it's okay. I think I got it. Thank you. I'm ready.
you have a guardian angel coming to help you here.
You. Even better. Right. Yeah. As always, thank you for the valuable public service work you do. I live a block away from this development and have done for over a decade. I have a kid with friends that live in this complex, as is currently. I'll start by saying I'm generally favorable on this project. As you may have read in our Better North Shore article that I sent to you, nearly 550 people on our mailing list. I think this development really cracks the code. The phasing, meaning that the 32 units, the residents with the 32 units have a new place to move into, provides new homes for 10 times more people, meaning that our kids may have a better chance of finding a home on the North Shore in 5 to 20 years from now. It's very transit connected. You know that. I think the public hopefully knows that. But like the 2218 down Lynn Valley Road, soon to be rapid transit, BRT. 240 straight downtown via Lionsgate Bridge. 210 straight downtown via Mountain Highway. This will give even more people freedom to move when we do a bus lane down southbound down Mountain Highway and get more people moving. Another key point is new developments like this increase land values nearby. So many nearby residents will see their property values increase. Lucky them. People are naturally worried about vehicle traffic and parking conflicts. Being a great transit location with car sharing available, including moto cars and more that are right nearby, we have a duty to plan to the future where more of us move by transit and other modes. And I'll also tell you, from living here for over 10 years, almost all the services you need in life are in that mall. You hardly need to go anywhere sometimes. It's really great mall. So it's a great community. I'll also note that the people do not yet live here in Lynn Valley and are of course not in attendance. And so their voices may not be heard tonight. It's easy and perhaps natural to be a pessimist and to fear the change is coming. People often feel smart seeing what can go wrong. I think it's more brave to be an optimist and look to the future with excitement. That said, I have some concerns. I do expect car traffic to be greater on Ross Road and on Baird, as we've talked about. I request that the 30-kilometer-an-hour zone be added on Ross Road and on Baird Road. This will help keep it safer for the kids on the busiest pedestrian street in the DNV. Wrapping up, I think it's a great development. As a very nearby resident, as I said, I wholeheartedly support it and look forward to welcoming the people who move in. One day, my 8-year-old son may want to move into that building, and I'd be delighted. I may even be glad it's there for me to live in one day too. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you for your comments, Duncan Wilcock.
Thank you.
The next speaker I have is Ann Sotras.
Thank you.
Welcome. When you're ready, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. My name is Ann Sotras, and I've lived in the district of North Vancouver for many, many years. including a number of those years just steps from the Lynn Valley Mall and Draycott Gardens at 3191 Mountain Highway and at 1243 Doran Road. I'm here tonight because I care deeply about this community and I strongly support Polygon's proposal. I've seen Lynn Valley through decades of change. I remember when the center felt like a true hub, busy, welcoming, and full of life. But over time, that energy has faded. The buildings are aging, businesses have struggled, and some of the places that brought people together are gone. Many of us still miss the Black Bear pub, me particularly, not just because it was a business, but because it was a place where people were connected. And I think that's what's really at stake here, not just buildings, but the heart of the community. The heart of Lynn Valley needs new life, and this proposal is a real opportunity to bring that back. What I really appreciate is that it's not overreaching, it's thoughtful. 6-story buildings are the right scale here, and the mix of rental and strata housing means it's not just for one type of resident, it's for the community. Because right now, too many people are being pushed out, and I'm personally worried about that in my near future. Seniors who want to stay in the neighborhood but can't maintain a detached home. Young families who want to build a life here but can't find anything appropriate. People going through life changes who suddenly have no housing options close to their support systems. And I know many, many people in my age group in that situation. This project offers solutions. It allows people to stay near their friends and routines. It preserves their sense of belonging. And that matters more than we sometimes acknowledge. It reduces strain, it strengthens community ties, and it helps people through difficult changes in their lives. And there's another piece to this. Local businesses need people. They need foot traffic. They need a critical mass of residents within walking distance just to survive. Right now, we don't have enough of that. This development helps rebalance things. It brings more people into the core. More people who will shop locally, eat locally, and help small businesses not just to stay open, but to succeed. Maybe it creates the conditions for new gathering places to emerge. Places that future residents will feel nostalgic about, the same way many of us feel about the Black Bear. As someone who still walks this neighborhood, as right now I'm a dog walker and I'm putting it everywhere on the North Shore, I appreciate the smaller details, like the fact that it's pet friendly. And that matters, and it reflects real life here. But overall, what this project does is brings people back to the heart of Lynn Valley. A mix of ages, a mix of lifestyles, all contributing to a more vibrant, more connected community. After 30 years, I don't want to see Lynn Valley stand still or slowly decline. I want to see it evolve in a way that respects what it's been, but also build something stronger for the future. And I really believe that this project does that. And I guess at the end of the day, all we just want is a decent quality of life. Again, I believe this project does that, and I encourage you to support it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And Sotres. The next speaker I have is Martin Skirchley. Is that Skirchley?
That's correct.
Skirchley. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the council.
Thank you very much. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. My name is Martin Skirchley. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I'm a Lynn Valley resident and I care deeply about this community. I support the need for more housing and understand growth is necessary. The effort that has been put into the OCP is much appreciated, and reading through that, it's a lot of material. However, I have clear concerns about this proposal, especially its scale and its impact on the character and livability of the Lynn, Baird Road, Harold Road neighborhoods. The height of building 3 and 4 is a primary concern, as they're almost 79 feet tall, including roof-mounted top items. These buildings are significantly out of proportion with the surrounding area. Lynn Valley is defined by low-rise homes and smaller scale buildings, and that is also a key part of what makes it livable and connected. Even with setbacks, these buildings remain too large for this location. They will dominate the skyline and alter the character of the neighborhood in a way that does not align with the existing community. Another concern is the absence of a shadow analysis for the development of this size. This is essential, and I couldn't find one through all the material that may possibly exist. Sunlight directly affects the quality of life in nearby homes and public spaces. Particularly during the darker months, the impact needs to be clearly understood before moving forward. Infrastructure and services are also an issue. Lynn Valley is already under pressure, particularly in terms of healthcare and access to services. This proposal adds significant density without clearly demonstrating how these demands will be supported. Traffic is another serious concern. Congestion has already increased over the past several years, and this proposal will add more pressure. And there are no clear or sufficient measures represented to address it. And I do understand that's a regional issue with the bridges and the other types of infrastructure. Safety must also be considered. While increasing walkability is positive, it must be supported by real improvements. The intersection at Mountain Highway and Lynn Valley Road is already busy and at times unsafe. Increased density will intensify the use of this area and require meaningful safety solutions. Access points such as Ross Road are already challenging, and this proposal does not provide clear improvements. Overall, this proposal represents a significant shift for Lynn Valley. The community is currently human scale, connected, and livable. This level of density and height moves beyond that in a way that will be difficult to reverse. It is also important that community input is clearly reflected in decisions of this scale. Residents need to see that their concerns are being meaningfully addressed. I support development, but it must fit the community and be sustainable in the terms of infrastructure, safety, livability. I am opposed to the zoning bylaw amendments. This proposal is too large for this location, and I urge council to reconsider the height of buildings 3 and 4 on overall scale so that future development remains aligned to the character of Lynn Valley. I am concerned that proposed rezoning sets a precedent regarding future development at the boundary of the town centre with surrounding neighbourhoods. I'm also concerned that 2 bylaws proposed do not satisfy mandatory must statements within the OCP. It is a requirement that, and I quote, bylaws enacted and work undertaken by the district after the adoption of the OCP must be consistent with the OCP. I therefore ask for a thorough review of all the mandatory must statements within the OCP and that the district strive to continue to meet the intent of the guidelines. This needs to be done before the proposed bylaws proceed to ensure the communities that have continued trust and confidence in local government. And I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you for your comments, Martin Skirchley.
Okay, thank you.
The next speaker I have is Adam Yahav.
Hi there. I'm joining by Zoom. Can you hear me?
Virtually. I can hear you clearly. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
No. Okay, I'm going to turn on my camera. Hold on. Oh, okay, there we go. Hi, Mayor and Council. I don't have a particularly formal speech written out, but just some points that I wanted to bring up. And the reason I decided to speak today is because I actually received a newsletter in my mailbox with some concerns that I already had, that kind of just confirmed that maybe other people share the same concerns. So just some of the points I wanted to bring up. Regarding the development is first is with the height and density of the project. Particularly, I feel like the proposed tower heights and the proposed density does not fit the context of the neighborhood and especially the neighborhoods. If you go down Baird Road, you see mainly duplex, triplex, single family homes with some low-rise townhomes. And I think that the tall buildings will essentially be a little bit strange in the context of the residential area. I also think that the towers are too tall and too small of a space. Looking at the site plan compared to, let's say, the opposite side of the road on Lynn Valley Road with the mall, there are some taller towers, but towers that are more spaced apart with mixed low-rise and high-rise developments. And then the last point I wanted to make is about the shadowing, which was already said, and also the skyline. It's obvious that this development is going to be kind of overtaking the skyline and will definitely cast shadows on neighboring sites that are definitely much lower and smaller than this one is proposed to be. So with that, I conclude and I thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you very much for your comments. Adam, you have. Next speaker I have is Jennifer Clay, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're ready to go, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, your mayor, your worship and council. My name is Jennifer Clay. I'm the president of North Shore Heritage, and I'm also a recent 14-year member of the DNV Heritage Advisory Committee. I'm here tonight to talk about a missed opportunity. As you will know from my recent email and also from the Lynn Valley walking tour I led for your council in 2024, the proponent, Polygon, also owns the triple lot at 1202 Ross Road. This lot is directly adjacent to the development being proposed tonight. On this lot stands the Card House, one of the oldest houses in the Lynn Valley Town Center. This home, designed in the craftsman bungalow style, was constructed in 1913 for Edith and William Card, who are linked through William's employment at the Lynn Valley Lumber Company to the logging industry, which is the foundation of the development of Lynn Valley. William was also a First World War veteran. Since Polygon owns this house and lot, it seems to us that the DNV missed an opportunity to request that Polygon include this house as part of the proposed development as a community amenity of some sort for the residents of the proposed development or for the community at large. While we understand that ultimately the decision to assemble land for the development is the developer's choice, the DNV, in our opinion, could have offered any number of incentives to Polygon in return for the restoration and retention of this important heritage house. So why is this house important? Firstly, by virtue of its inclusion on the DNV's own heritage register, it's one of a select 133 buildings which were deemed by the DNV to be worthy. Secondly, in the Lynn Valley Local Plan, Policy 7.1.7, with the stated goal to preserve heritage buildings in the town center, the Card House at 1202 Ross Road was identified as a primary heritage site to preserve as a component of the earlier logging town settlement around the intersection of Lynn Valley Road and Mountain Highway. Thirdly, in the DNV public consultation regarding the Lynn Valley Town Center years ago, the Card House was once again highlighted as one of 3 heritage buildings that were cited as important to preserve. So if it's not being included as part of the proposed development, what's the plan for its retention? The DNV, based on past written policies outlined above, supposedly values its retention. But over the years, since its purchase by Polygon in 2020, the house appears to be in increasingly poor condition. This saddens us because when I sat on the HAC, our committee wrote a letter to Polygon and subsequently met with Devin Smart, their development manager, in 2022. We stressed the importance of the retention of the building and offered suggestions regarding incentives that Polygon could access in return for the retention of the building. At that time, Mr. Smart advised us that the lot was part of a larger land assembly that would be part of an OCP amendment that would take some time to put together. But here we are today with a land assembly and a rezoning application in front of you, but without the inclusion of this important heritage home. And now this orphaned home sits in seemingly worse condition with no public plan for its restoration and retention. The problem is, as you can imagine, that any building that is exposed to the rain, cold, and potentially vermin without adequate maintenance will eventually get to the point where it cannot be saved. This is known in the heritage world as demolition by neglect. We hope that this is not the case with the card house, but we look to both the DNV and Polygon to come up with a plan quickly. And if this current rezoning application does not go through tonight, we ask that consideration is given to the inclusion of the card house in the next iteration. And in the meantime, we request that Polygon revisits its maintenance plan for this important piece of Lynn Valley history. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Jennifer Clay. Oh, sorry, folks. As I said at the beginning of the meeting, we don't allow cheering, booing, clapping. We want to make sure that people can make their presentations without intimidation. I know it's intended to support views that you share, but unfortunately, it does scare people away from sharing their views sometimes. So we don't allow it. Next up, I have Jim Paul. Oh, there you go, Jim. Joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. And thank you, Mackenzie, for the presentation. Also, thank you, Devin and Renee, for the presentation. My name is Jim Paul, and I am the chair of the District of North Vancouver Community Heritage Advisory Committee. Jennifer is the past member who just itemized to you what our concerns are about the Baird house on Ross Road. I think that from my point of view, the major issue is not having a plan for the property on Ross Road. There is no indication from the applicant that they have thought about the property and how it might coincide with proposed development. And I think this is, as Jennifer stated, a missed opportunity to do something more with the Heritage House. So that's my major concern, that the Heritage House is threatened. And as it deteriorates further, when that new development goes in, it will start to look pretty sad. And I'm afraid that people will treat the building with a little less respect than it deserves. In fact, they may even call for its demolition eventually if the vermin and the increasing decay continues. So I have a request for both the council and for Polygon, two separate requests. One is that the council consider the possibility of doing a statement of significance for the house and a covenant to keep the house as a heritage asset for the District of North Vancouver in perpetuity. The funds for this could come from the DCCs that will be part of the applicant's application. And for Polygon, I would like them to consider that the card house is an artifact, just like the many hundreds of artifacts that the founder of Polygon, Michael Adane, has cherished and chosen to put his money behind saving over the many years that he is of his philanthropy. It might seem to some a stretch that a house could be an artifact, but that's what it is. It's part of our history, just like all the other parts of our history that we save in museums, and it deserves some respect and some consideration for future generations. So Council and Polygon, I hope you will find a way to work together to save the card house. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Jim Paul. The next speaker I have is Leah Arthur, joining us virtually.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Leah Arthur, and I support the redevelopment of Lynn Valley Mall and Draycock Gardens because I've experienced firsthand how difficult it is to find stable, suitable housing in Lynn Valley, especially as a single parent. Not long ago, my son and I were living in a basement suite on Mountain Highway, and it really highlighted how limited the options are. You're not just looking for any place. You're trying to find somewhere that gives your family stability and allows you to build a consistent, comfortable routine. That's not easy to find in this community at a rental rate that is feasible for a single parent. What stands out to me about this proposal is that it offers a wider range of housing options, including both rentals and ownership, and in sizes that better reflect how families actually live. It creates more than one pathway for people, which is important because not everyone's situation is the same. Having those choices makes it more realistic for families to find something that truly fits their needs. I also think the location is exactly where this kind of development belongs. Living close to the town center made a big difference in our lives. My son spent a lot of time at the Lynn Valley Library during his high school years, got his first job at Save On Foods, and I still rely on local services like the exercise clinic at the mall. Being able to walk to these places shaped our daily life in a very real way, and I think more families should have access to that kind of convenience and connection. I'm also encouraged by the potential for improved transit. From my experience, better transit service would have made things like my son's commute to French immersion school much easier. Growth like this can help support those kinds of transit improvements over time. I also really appreciate that the proposal considers current residents by giving them the option to stay or return at similar rents. That shows respect for the community that already exists. Overall, I see this project as an important opportunity to provide families with more stable, practical housing options and to strengthen the neighborhood, and I believe it's worth supporting. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Leah Arthur. The next speaker I have is Patrick Stafford Smith, also joining us virtually.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you clearly. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Great, thank you very much. Yes, my name is Patrick Stafford Smith, and I'm here on behalf of the North Vancouver Chamber. Can I make myself visible? Maybe not. Okay, I can't get my camera working. Yeah, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. We really support this project and encourage council's approval. And here's some of the reasons I'd like to put forward. First is housing choice. And this proposal really responds to one of our community's biggest needs, and that's diverse, accessible housing. It offers a mix of below market rental and ownership options, giving local downsizers a chance to stay in the neighborhood. And it opens doors for younger families and working residents who want to call Lynn Valley home. I think that's a very critical part, especially we're hearing that from all businesses that they need housing to support the employees that want to live in North Vancouver. Second, location matters. It's more than just housing, it's where this is situated. The site is the heart of the town center. It steps from shops, the library, recreation, trails, transit. It's got everything. It's the epitome of what North Vancouver has to offer. And people can live here comfortably without depending on a car. And that's not in every location is that possible. As mentioned by speakers in advance of me, that really supports local businesses. It supports important community assets like the library and really brings a new energy to the commercial core here in Lynn Valley, which is, I believe, part of the plan and part of the goal in this area. Third is the inclusion of office and retail space, and that's really significant. Local businesses really do need more access to modern, well-located spaces that are close to customers, close to transit, and this development helps fill that gap while creating lots of daily foot traffic, which will benefit all of those other businesses. And I think that foot traffic part of this cannot be underestimated. Somebody mentioned before that critical mass, and this will help provide that. And in fact, the many businesses that we speak to about these issues, they want walkable communities. They want housing that's close to businesses. And we know that that's what makes a community vibrant. And finally, this is a smart transit-oriented growth. And so it does build density and focus density where it belongs, which is near jobs, near transit, and established amenities that the community, the district has already invested significantly in Lynn Valley. And we need people to take advantage of those. That's a privilege to be so close. And for them to then be able to have cycling and pedestrian links, it reflects what we need, but it also reflects what I'm hearing from business owners in terms of what they're looking for. Their businesses thrive on walking traffic, and I think that's the way to add to the vibrancy of Lynn Valley. So in short, this project makes both economic and community sense. I think it supports local business vibrancy, adds much needed housing. It looks after existing residents who are there, and it reinforces a vibrant, walkable town center. And so the North Vancouver Chamber is pleased to lend our support for this project, and we encourage Council to approve Polygon's proposal. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Patrick Stafford Smith. The next speaker I have is Gordon Durr, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you, Your Worship and Council, and hello to my neighbors. I'll try and tongue-in-cheek go through this. I had submitted online the input through the input, the same stuff that I was going to read off, but so I'm going to wing it a bit. I'd firstly like to put this into a personal context. My wife and I live at number 1205 Harold Road. This is the unit, townhouse unit that's on the corner of Harold and Baird. And our back lane, my south-facing windows are going to be facing the north side of Building 3 at the very corner of the lane, the north lane, and Baird Road. So why is that important? Well, I did the measuring with my measuring tape. I have an 8-foot setback from the laneway. The laneway is 20 feet, and the developer is proposing a 12-foot setback. That makes it 40 feet. 40 feet is from where those two people are there to maybe over here to the last set of desks. So why is that relevant? It's relevant because a 6-story building casting a shadow on a 3-story building, right, from the ground level up to the third, will be completely engrossed by the shadow of that building because the sun will be to the south. So that's personal for us because we purchased that home after doing our due diligence of driving around before the shovel was even put in the ground. And we walked the neighborhood. We saw that the Draycott Gardens were there. We found out that it was a rental complex, and we had a look at the OCP and zoning and stuff like that. And we made the false assumption that the maximum height would be 4 stories, which for us would be okay. Maybe it's 5 stories is what the official zoning would be. But nonetheless, I did hear that Martin hadn't seen a shadow report. I hadn't seen one either until 5 minutes before this meeting started. Someone showed me a copy of the shadow report that apparently was only submitted to the district in the last short day or so. So that shadow report does show that that 6-story building 3 casts a shadow in March. The study showed March and September, I believe, that covers it completely my townhouse, completely. So I would say from our point of view, my wife and I, that 6 stories is a little too high to be 40 feet from our place. We have a rooftop deck, which will be covered in the shadow of this building for probably 6 to 8 months of the year. Right, so it's important to us. However, I've also heard concerns from my neighbors that I run into on the street when I'm walking my dog and, just doing stuff out in the garage, that they share the same concern about the height of building 3 and building 4, which are the two buildings along Baird Road. So I've given that some thought, and I have a couple of, my 2 issues really, or 3 issues reflect what everybody else has been saying, and I think what the developer's been hearing and what the planning department's been hearing. Height, traffic, parking, safety, traffic and safety. Right? So height-wise, I thought about it, and I had a look around at Lynn Valley Center, or mall or whatever it is, where the Boza development is, and the tallest building there is 12 stories. So it begs the question to me, is it not possible for the planning department, for Polygon, for council to entertain the possibility that one of these buildings could be 12 plus stories? That building could be the one on Lynn Valley Road, right? And the trade-off would be that the Baird Road buildings, there's nothing wrong with the site plan and stuff like that in terms of the layout and stuff. I like it. And I support that idea, and I support it for the very reasons which we've just
You can
heard.
draw to a close, please.
Right.
We're beyond your
Okay.
time.
Okay, so my thinking is that I would ask council to direct the planning department to work with the developer to explore the possibility of building a 12 plus story building on Lynn Valley Road and reduce the height of the Baird Road buildings to 4 stories.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The next speaker I have is Joe Genest, or Genest. Joining us virtually.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Clearly, welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Joe Janae, often mispronounced as it was said, which is all right.
Apologies.
And I have been a Lynn Valley resident since 2017. I am 41 years old and have lived on the North Shore essentially my entire life. I am married and a father of 3 young boys, ages 8, 5, and 3 years old. My 2 older boys are in kindergarten and grade 3 at Eastview Elementary at Mountain Highway and East 18th Street. Our family lives in the West Lynn neighborhood near Lower Lynn and Viewland Drive, and we love this community and we support Polygon's development proposal. I want to start by acknowledging that I understand why often people have concerns about large-scale development. Prolonged periods of construction can be disruptive. However, I believe it is short-term pain for long-term gain. Aging improvements and infrastructure are replaced at the cost and risk of private capital, in this case, Polygon, a high-quality developer with a proven track record across Metro Vancouver and also right here in Lynn Valley. New housing options, more commercial spaces for small business owners, and improved streetscapes and pedestrian connections are all positives this proposal provides. Further to this, the $25 million in community benefit contributions that come with this project are meaningful and can be applied to a number of community projects that are in need of attention. For example, Hastings Creek Trail, a beloved community amenity, is failing and no longer safe to use. These types of private monetary contributions can be applied to investing in fixing this trail for future generations to enjoy safely for years to come. I recently read about the district embarking on ways to improve traffic congestions on Mountain Highway, particularly the south end section of the corridor. I want to raise something that's close to home for me as an Eastview parent. Right now, drop off and pick up at the school is genuinely chaotic and often unsafe, with parked cars all along Mountain Highway, with commuter traffic and buses zipping by. Families back up on Mountain Highway at East 18th Street every morning and afternoon. It's frustrating, and more importantly, it's unsafe for kids and families on foot. The district could consider using a portion of these community benefit funds provided by Polygon to purchase some of the adjacent homes to the school and convert that space into proper parking or a safe designated pickup and drop-off area. That would be a practical, lasting improvement to a problem that's been ignored for too long. For example, there are currently 2 side-by-side lots for sale at the intersection of East 18th Street and Mountain Highway that could be acquired for this purpose to get vehicles off of Mountain Highway and keep traffic flowing smoothly and safely. As I mentioned earlier, we live near Viewland Park on Laura Lynn Drive, so we experience firsthand living near a major housing development in our immediate vicinity with Mosaic's development at East 20th and Mountain Highway. While residents were genuinely concerned about increased traffic, we personally have not experienced much difference at that intersection. Further to that, there is now a wonderful connection for the public to enter into Kirkstone Park, thanks to Mosaic. One other thing that I'd like to point out that the district could do to improve some of the parking congestion around this project, since they own Valley Center, is approach McDonald's on reconfiguring their drive-through circulation in the underground parking area. Parking stalls would eventually become casualties to accommodate this. So perhaps additional parking, off-site parking, could be offered in the Polygon project to offset the loss. The community has an opportunity here to replace aging land use with something that serves the next generation of Lynn Valley residents. I think Polygon has brought forward a thoughtful project worthy of approval, and I think the community benefit contributions directed well could address real needs that have gone unmet for years. Once again, our family, we support this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Joe Janae. The next speaker I have is Joanna Lasoka. Joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. And thank you for giving me time to speak and express myself. I would like to address first, very briefly, one of the key of the Polygon proposal that is featured as a very valuable proposal to the current residents of the 32 units rental complex, townhouse complex. I'm a resident of this complex. There are 32 units. The current trend, if someone wants to move in, and the turnover is quite actually high right now. I mean, over the years, I've been living there 30 years. The current rent is close to 45,000. 4,500. There are apparently 6 to 7 units that are below the market value. Every year, we receive the increase rate. This is the increase rate for this year. Ever since the Polygon took over, we've been receiving every year increase of rent. So I would like to clarify what exactly it means current rent, that the tenants will be moving in. Is 4,500 a below market value price? I would like to know the answer to that. I would like to also clarify to me from Polygon what it means current price for them. And apparently giving such an amazing deal and favor to the current tenants that also it's been featured in the summary of this project. Now, another issue I have is claiming that the students will be walking on sidewalks. The sidewalks are right now in place from Ross Road to Harold already, because the new townhouses that have been placed there, whatever the year it was, they are new, basically still new, considered new townhouses or strata places from Ross Road to Harold, there is already sidewalk in place. The polygon will also do the same thing, just put the sidewalk from Ross Road to Harold. I would like to know where will be the sidewalk from Harold to Argyle School. And I would like to invite Polygon representatives and councils and mayor to come and visit Baird Road and see how nicely students are walking on the sidewalk now in place. I'm assuming that they will even improve more their walking on the sidewalks on both sides. Since there is no sidewalk in place, and it won't be from Harold to Argyle, which is 2 blocks, and I'm assuming that, you know, unless Polygon, another developer, will come and buy them out, all the houses in place right now, the single houses. Another thing I have is that in the proposal, we have 730 stalls for bicycles. I would like to also address this issue. For rental, for example, properties that Polygon is proposing, it's 0.9 ratio per, I believe, per unit, yes? And I'm assuming it will be on the downward scale. 1 bedroom, for example, won't have any stalls assigned for the car, for example. And I would like to also address the issue of how this will be a nice community that will be just all of us in Lynn Valley stay on Mountain Highway and Mountain Highway in Lynn Valley, and all of us work there and nicely enjoy walking distances. Because I don't think it's the case. I would like to statistically find out how many people are working in Lynn Valley. I would like to have answer to that. Also, I have 40 seconds. Also, like one of the speakers mentioned the shadow, and probably other speakers will mention that as well, shadow, and also addressing the apparently increase in value. This actually is decreasing the value of the properties around this proposed project. And I would like to also, because I stated already in my first speech, that there is already in place 4-story zoning. It's not enough density from 32 units to 4-story buildings. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Joanna Lasoka. Next speaker I have is Nadine Frankowski, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Nadine Frankowski, and I've lived at Draycott Gardens for 20 years. We've raised our 6 children there, and we've built very deep roots in this community. My older children now actually work in the community. One's a paramedic, one's a welder, one's a pilot, very proud. In addition, they all volunteer with the Royal Canadian Air Cadets. These are the very types of individuals that the district is trying to attract and retain. I've listened to the concerns raised through public feedback around infrastructure, traffic, and increase in density, and I absolutely share those concerns. But what I want to focus on is something that hasn't received enough attention, and that's the loss of housing diversity, specifically the missing middle. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's row homes or townhomes. The current proposal does not only result in increased density, but it's a complete shift in the type of housing being provided. From 2020 to 2023, taking my figures off of your site, purpose-built rental development increased by over 44%. But townhomes still only make up 9% of the total housing stock. At the same time, families represent 28% of applicants for dedicated social and supportive housing. These numbers clearly show a mismatch between what is being built and what families actually need. Townhomes provide something apartments typically cannot: functional family space, direct access to green space, and the important ability to support multi-generational living. These are not luxury features. These are essential for many families, and yet this type of housing is becoming increasingly rare. If we continue to only build apartments, we risk creating a divide where access to family-friendly housing is limited to only those who can afford to buy. That does not reflect a commitment to the socioeconomic diversity or long-term community well-being. Council's role is not only meeting housing targets, but to ensure a balanced and sustainable community. That means looking beyond unit counts and considering the full housing mix. Gentle densification can increase density while still respecting the neighborhood character and reducing strain on infrastructure. By redeveloping one of the last remaining townhouse rental sites into exclusively apartment units, we are losing a critical opportunity to preserve this much needed form of housing. Draycott Gardens has given my family stability, community, and a place to grow. And I'm asking that you consider how future families will access those same opportunities. So those are my prepared words. But what I want to say is I'm not opposed to densification. We have like 8 people living in 1,100 square feet. I'm the queen of densification. And you can do it. But now asking everyone to move into boxes where kids can't have gardens, no access to the outside. The reason why our community is what it is because we had this bond through a townhouse development. And I challenge you to go to apartments and try and find the same community. So we look after people when they're sick. We host birthday parties. We just all attended a funeral for a neighbor. I think it's something that really needs to be considered, even if it's difficult. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Nadine Frankowski. The next speaker I have is Pancho Fonseca. Virtual.
Yep. Can you hear me?
I can. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Mayor Little and Council. Thanks very much for allowing me to share my thoughts. My name is Pancho Fonseca. I'm a single father of 2 young daughters. I've lived in the District of North Van for over 9 years and absolutely love it. And my kids can attest that they love it as well. And we enjoy living there. I come to you today because I'm in very, hi, hello, sorry.
We can hear you.
Sorry. I come here to support the Polygon project at Lynn Valley. And one of the major reasons is because my situation, as numerous people in the district, has changed a little while. Now being a single father again, housing has become incredibly difficult to find. So I'm here to support the project for the housing. Having the ability to have single units as well as up to 3-bedroom units available for someone like myself is very, very attractive. And it's also very encouraging to stay in Lynn Valley. But not only that, I think that the addition of the commercial and retail space in those developments will bring new people into our community, not only just to highlight what Lynn Valley has already, but also bring some new people to maybe consider them joining our community. And lastly, the walkability of our community is second to none. I mean, my kids and I walk to Lynn Valley Mall weekly to come do grocery shopping, grab a coffee, head to the library. So it is very much so one of the best parts of our days. So again, just to wrap it up really quickly, I'm here to support Polygon's project. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Pancho Fonseca. The next speaker I have is Griff Marshall, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
And I've got something on a USB stick. I'm not sure if that'll display.
Well, it should pop up when you plug it in. You have to do an assist on that. Polygon's still up as a slideshow. Okay. Go. Maybe the next one down, resume slideshow. Oh, yeah, you got to clear this.
Yeah, there.
Oh, no, that's the other presentation. Got to
Try this again.
Ms. Stonehawker, are you able to assist switching the presentations? As it has a second slideshow open, it won't do this slideshow. So we have to close the other one down first. Double click on the background there, yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, I did something. So this is mine. How do I get this going?
It's this one. Corner.
There?
Yeah.
Nope, nope. Yeah, I think you're still in.
Oh.
Oh, there's
Okay.
staff. Okay. Close that.
Yeah.
And probably close on.
There you go.
Okay, then I can resume.
Should just start. Yeah, yeah.
Beginning. Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Nothing like a technical glitch to start her out. Mayor Little and members of council, my name is Griff Marshall. I'm a resident of the district, living very near to the Draycott Gardens Lynn Valley Mall site, just north of Baird Road and Herald intersection. Let me begin by saying that I welcome a redevelopment of the sites in question. It will be good to have new and updated commercial offerings and a modern, higher density residential setup. It should be positive overall. However, I do have some significant concerns with the polygon proposals, which I think can be addressed. First of all is the footprint, or as I would describe it, rather imposing footprint. The block of structures 6 stories high will be imposing from street level, especially from Baird Road and the North Lane, which are the sides that would be, just a second, I'm going to get this going at the same time. Pardon me. So we're talking about the North Lane and Baird Road area. Buildings 2 and 3 over here and here completely block out the sunlight and the south view for houses on Herald Road and for houses such as ours, which is a little bit further up on Baird Road. As it stands, there's not any proposed transition between the 6-story polygon buildings and what is currently single-family houses on Herald and further north of that. I suggest that there should be a graduation of building heights, with the low end being at the north side of the site, i.e. buildings 2 and 3. This would allow more sunlight to filter to the homes on Herald and north along Baird, which is the natural direction of the sun coming from the south. And it would provide a transition to the single-family houses that are on the north side of Herald, as opposed to having a single big block down to single family. It could be possible even to look at something like a higher story building in building number 1 that goes on to Lynn Valley Road. And that seems to be more in line with what could be suitable for an artery of that size. And for the record, where we're situated, we even noticed the impact on sunlight from the construction of the 3-story Covo unit, which was mentioned earlier, that is going to be blocked out by if the 6 stories goes through. I do have a series of photos that were taken of a similar building. This is down on Crown Street. And I just took photos from the site, which would be approximately the same distance across from the lane, and with regular magnification, then going on the Zoom, I could only get 5 stories in. It's a very sudden and abrupt change, being that close to 6 stories. Here's the same building again. This is looking back at Covo. So this is what my neighbor friend here was talking about. His unit is this one right here. And that is not an overly imposing look from this side of the street. And if the polygon unit could be built with that graduation from lower level in the back up to the higher level at Lynn Valley Road, I think it would be much more pleasing to the eye and good for the community. I have other information that I would like to share, but at this stage of the game, I think I will run out of time. But there is concerns about traffic flow that will go on. Oh, before I do that, this is just looking at renditions provided by Polygon. These are large buildings that will be here. This is building 1 from Lynn Valley Road, from Baird Road, looking at buildings 3 and 4. But here is building 3 down from the corner of Lane North and Baird Road. This is going to be very high and sudden as far as the view lines are concerned when we're talking about being down at ground level at Baird. Another view of building 3. I'm going to leave it at that. Baird Road is a small road. I think that the development should be good if we get some of these modifications done. I thank you for your time and attention. I think it's good that you accept public input from the citizens. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Mr. Marshall. And again, I'll restate, if you do wish to speak a second time, then once we've gone through all of the first-time speakers, there will be an opportunity for people to speak a second time.
Okay. Can I just pull this out or do I have to eject it?
I think you can just remove it.
Done.
Okay, thank you very much. The next speaker is David Lee.
Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can, clearly. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is David, and I live on Baird Road here in Lynn Valley. While I support thoughtful densification in Lynn Valley, my concern is not growth itself, is whether this proposal as designed works for the surrounding neighborhood and whether it reflects the broader public interest. First point is that this proposal funnels all residential, commercial, and service traffic through a single access off Baird Road. As mentioned, Baird Road is not just a local street, it functions as a low-volume, shared-use neighborhood road regularly used by pedestrians, cyclists, dog walkers, and residents, and it already experiences intense pedestrian activity during school hours. Because the primary school access off Frederick Road is already congested, Baird Road also functions as an overflow drop-off and pickup route for Argyle Secondary School. This already causes localized congestion, and additional development-related traffic would further magnify these existing conditions. Being told that access can be maintained may meet the minimum engineering standard, but it does not address our day-to-day behaviors, social vulnerabilities, and what happens when congestion incidents and blockages occur at a single access point into this neighborhood. Second point, traffic studies versus real world. Much reliance appears to have been placed on the Lynn Valley Town Center Transportation Study. The study evaluates local intersections under average peak conditions only. It does not assess the reliability of access to or from Lynn Valley during congestion or incidences on Highway 1 or the Ironworkers Memorial Bridge, conditions residents experience regularly and which routinely dictate local congestion. A traffic assessment that excludes regional choke points and emergency access reliability cannot credibly conclude that traffic impacts are minimal when these choke points are in practice the primary drivers of neighborhood gridlock. For residents such as myself, the issue isn't whether an intersection technically functions on paper, it's whether I can reliably leave and return home, reach work, or access essential services in real-world conditions. Point 3 is emergency response. Neither the town center study nor the site-specific traffic material evaluates emergency response reliability under congestion or failed conditions. Given the North Shore's limited route redundancy, the omission is significant. Design choices that concentrate all access through a single neighborhood street increase risk rather than mitigate it, particularly during peak periods of regional disruption. The development is being evaluated largely in isolation, even though Lynn Valley is facing multiple medium to high density projects that all rely on the same constrained road network, emergency routes, and infrastructure system. If assumptions about traffic behavior, parking demand, or environmental recovery prove optimistic, the resulting impacts congestion, safety concerns, and parking spillover will be borne entirely by the existing residents of the neighborhood. There is no clear or enforceable framework for monitoring real-world impacts after occupancy, nor for requiring corrective action if neighborhood conditions deteriorate. From a process standpoint, residents raised concerns about scale, access, and risk, and planning policies were substantially amended in a way to enable the proposal rather than reassessing whether the proposal itself was appropriate. Given the scale of change, the number of unresolved issues, and the discretionary judgment involved, and with multiple municipal elections scheduled for October, it would be reasonable and prudent to defer final approval until residents have the opportunity to express their views through the democratic process. I respectfully ask Council to acknowledge that the concerns first raised in October and reiterated today that remain unresolved, and to reconsider whether this proposal, as currently designed, reflects the public interest. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments, David Lee. The next speaker I have is Michael Ord, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you for having me, Mayor and Council. My name is Michael Ord. I'm a resident of Lynn Valley. I moved there 14 years ago. I am living there with my family and also my mother-in-law. I have 4 kids. I'm speaking in favor of this development. I believe it's a reasonable scale for the town center of Lynn Valley. I walk the streets every day, 3 times a day, to get my dog to and from places, and also my kids to and from school. It is an excellent pedestrian-oriented area, and I would love to believe that the people who are actually eventually moving into this area will also do most of their trips by walking or either biking. I do work downtown, and if I have to go downtown, and when I say downtown Vancouver, I will ride my bike. I'm not traveling by vehicle, and I believe deep developments like this encourage more pedestrian activity. And I would encourage that Council approve the proposed development scheme. And as an aside, I'd also like to just point out that I know there's a lot of feelings around a lot of these developments. I think it's often should be noted that, especially in the district of North Vancouver, these things don't develop that quickly. I know of multiple developments where I've been to public hearings and they've taken over 10 years to just get built out. So Lynn Valley is going to change in 10 years. There's going to be more people moving to Lynn Valley. It's a fantastic place to live. It's one of the best lifestyle areas in the Lower Mainland. And I think you just have to be a little bit realistic on where things are. We want 6-story developments near the town center. We don't want 6-story developments in the middle of nowhere. So I hope Council considers this as a project that'll benefit the community, and I look forward to seeing it built. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Michael Ord. The next speaker I have is Pinar Galen. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Pinar Galen, and I'm here with my colleague Trisha, representing the North Shore Disability Resource Center. At the NSTRC, our focus is on ensuring that our community is inclusive, accessible, and supportive for people of all abilities across all stages of life. From that perspective, we see meaningful value in this proposed development for the Lynn Valley community. This project contributes to inclusive housing, offering more options that support residents of different ages, abilities, and life stages. We're also encouraged by the inclusion of enhanced accessible design features aligned with the District of North Vancouver's accessible design policy for multifamily housing. These are important steps towards creating a more inclusive community. NSDRC is currently in discussion with Polygon regarding potential office and program space within Building 1 for us. This is not simply about having a physical location, it's about the ability to expand our programs and meet growing demand in a way that is accessible, local, and integrated into the community. Additional space would have a direct and meaningful impact on the people we serve. It would allow us to expand program capacity for current participants, reduce wait lists, and provide access to individuals and families who are currently unable to receive services. Due to space limitations, it means more opportunities for connection, greater independence, and improved quality of life for members of our community. We are seeing an increasing need for services that support independence, connection, and participation. Without appropriate space, our ability to respond to that need is limited. We respectfully encourage the district to consider the inclusion and support of community serving space within this development as part of your decision-making. Ensuring space for organizations like NSCRC will help fully realize the vision of an inclusive, accessible, and connected community. This is an opportunity to create not just housing, but a more supportive and integrated Lynn Valley for everyone. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much for your comments. The next speaker I have is Sandra Hancock, joining us in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Worship, council members, for this opportunity. My name is Sandra Hancock, and I've lived in North Vancouver since 1991. I do not actually live in the district. I live in the city, but by only about 6 houses. I have 2 kids. They're in their early 30s, and they've been raised here on the North Shore, where they've played sports and enjoyed many, many wonderful things that we have in this area of the world. I've seen many of my kids' friends move away. They live in Burnaby now, some live in Maple Ridge. There's clearly a demand, and we've heard this many times this evening, for more housing and all kinds of housing on the North Shore. So I support the project that's before you now for a number of reasons. I live about 4 minutes up the hill. I live at on Eastern Avenue, which is just 1 block east of Lonsdale and just down from 29th. And in that area, probably most of you are aware of this, there has been a lot of building going on. And it has been my experience, to say the least, it has been rather haphazard. There have been many buildings put up in a radius of about 3 blocks on Lonsdale, where I live, and it has been difficult to navigate some of that because it has been somewhat haphazard for those of us who live in the area. I think this is a great opportunity that we all have to look at a plan that is comprehensive, well thought out, considerate, and to me, it looks like a beautiful place to create in our backyard. I live just up the hill from Lynn Valley, and I'm there a lot. 3 or 4 times a week, I'm using the services and all the stores and such in the Lynn Valley Mall. I do feel that the area that is under proposal here is looking extremely tired and in desperate need of refreshing and development. I think my main message tonight, I don't want to go into a lot of detail that's already been covered, but my main message tonight is we have an opportunity to do this right and really have a comprehensive and coordinated effort to make a beautiful space that is for all of us to use and that invites and welcomes newcomers from studio apartments to 3-bedroom units that will serve many, many people in the community for years to come. I think it's an incredible proposal that puts this space to a much better use than it is. And of course, there's lots of issues to be addressed and fine-tuned. But I support this proposal. I support the project. It looks like a beautiful place to visit, a beautiful place to walk in and shop in. And I invite you to take a very tired-looking space and make it beautiful. And I think that Polygon has the ability to do that. We've seen them develop some beautiful places and spaces, including the Polygon Gallery at the bottom of Lonsdale. They have a track record that is undisputed. They are a great developer, and they've been doing great things for all over the Lower Mainland and beyond for decades. So I would like to just say I support this proposal and thank you for all of the time and effort that everyone has put in to all of the comments and concerns. And just as a bystander who's not living in Lynn Valley, it feels like there's been a lot of discussion already and a lot of changes to adjust to and adopt those comments that have been made and concerns raised by the community. And I trust that those will all be addressed through time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Sandra Hancock. The next speaker I have is Dinah Fast. Dinah Fast joining us virtually.
I'm just trying to get her to the where's the panels, but she's in the video. Oh, she's trying to.
A couple more seconds here. We're just moving them over to the panel on Zoom. Dinah Fast, can you hear me? Okay, we'll check again. Dinah Fast, can you hear me? Dinah, I don't know if you can hear me, but in the system, I see you are not muted, but also there's actually no marker there, which means you may not have a microphone attached or connected properly to your computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move you to about 5 speakers from now to give you an opportunity to check in on your technology, and then I'll come back to you. But we're going to have to move along with the list at this point. The next speaker I have is Bertrand Lemaison. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in front of you tonight. So my name is Bertrand Lemaison, and I live right at the corner of Baird Road and Ross Road. So I'm basically just across the site we are discussing tonight. So when we moved to Lynn Valley last year with my family, we did it because we wanted this specific balance and quiet street. And this was also our first home purchase. So we did our due diligence at this time, especially looking at the zoning bylaws. And we wanted to make sure that there is no future growth that would actually, that any future growth around would fit this community. So I'm not here to stand in a way of growth, but, and I certainly support rental or below market housing. I think that we need these options in the district, but I'm here because the infrastructure that we have right now, or the proposed one, don't fit the project of this scale. So I'm going to talk again about the students, because as mentioned, I'm living just at the corner. So yesterday I just did a quick count, okay? And I was sitting in my windows, and during 3 to 4 minutes, I was counting 233 kids. So we are not talking about just a group of 20 kids walking by. So it's really group by 10, 15 people at the time during 4, 5, 6 minutes, then crossing across and going McDonald's and Lynn Valley Center as well. So they are weaving through the car, queuing for McDonald's. And then you wait 30 minutes and you see the same flow going back to the school. And for me, this is a concern because this is the same street that we want to add another traffic, because all the traffic from this development will go through Baird Road and will exit through Baird Road. And so I'm not talking only about when the development is over, is done. I'm also talking about during the construction. So because nobody here is really talking about these 3 or 4 years of construction that we're gonna go through. So if you just do a quick math of this 2-level parkade for this 4 building, we will probably talking about 60,000 cubic meter of earth and soil to be removed. And if you count roughly, we are talking about 6,000 heavy dump truck movement just during to dig the hole. And after that, you will have all the truck coming for the concrete, the steel, the trades. And so we are talking probably about 100 heavy vehicles movement every single day for the next 3 or 4 years. So where are these kids gonna go? How are we gonna ensure safety of those kids during this construction time? I've not seen any traffic management plan dedicated to this construction time. Also, once all the development is done, so having all this additional traffic will go through probably Baird Road and Rose going through From, and From is already there is already traffic blockage during peak time. So I don't think adding a traffic light will help any of these, because having traffic light too close to each other, you will even worsen the situation. So council, for me, the current zoning already allows for projects here. It allows for modest, low-rise building, the kind of project that fits the townhome of Harold Road that we mentioned some people before, and actually serve the neighborhood without overwhelming it. So I know that you rejected similar project in the past because they didn't fit what we are trying to build here. So please stand by the current zoning. It was put here to protect the safety and also to protect this Lynn Valley spirit that we love. So help us to keep it that way. Thank you for your attention and your consideration.
Thank you very much for your comments, Bertrand Lemazon. I see that Dinah Fast has reconnected to our meeting and does appear to now have the microphone attached. So Dinah, can you hear me?
I'm alive. I'm sorry.
Welcome. Are you ready to go?
Yes, sorry about that.
Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Dinah Fast, and I support this project at Polygon is doing in Lynn Valley. I was born and grew up on the North Shore. I went to Handsworth Secondary School and currently live 800 meters from the site and live at 3643 Mountain Highway. We're a family of 5. I have a 6-year-old, a 3.5-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And my oldest goes to kindergarten at Lynn Valley Elementary School. So we're constantly on our bikes, scooters. We walk to school most days. So do my daughter's friends, because the catchment at Lynn Valley School is so small. It's one of the smallest catchments, I think, on the North Shore, because many families do live in condos and townhomes in the area. We constantly use the plaza, and I'm embarrassed to say we're probably at DQ once a week, and often use Lynn Valley Meats as well. And although I'll miss the surface parking, which is really easy as a mom of 3, I think change is inevitable. And the longer we wait, we're just going to see more densification. And I think most people would agree in Lynn Valley that the current look is an eyesore. Most people don't even use the retail that's there now. I think what Polygon's designing is excellent. I think we could all look forward to the infrastructure that they'll be adding, including the sidewalks that will take kids off of the road at Baird and bring them through the designed pathway that they're designing. I think Polygon has previous designs that have been very popular in the area, including Canyon Springs and Branches, which fit sort of the natural aesthetic of Lynn Valley with the nature and the surroundings. Many of the families, like I said, that go to Lynn Valley Elementary School already live in condos, and many people are choosing to have only one child or not children at all, and are choosing to live in Lynn Valley to enjoy the mountain biking or the nature And so I think the densification that they're choosing is actually quite fitting. I also agree with the first speaker who mentioned changing the road to 30 km on Baird. I think that would be really fitting. And my only two sort of other concerns would be that I think it's a massive mistake that the Ross Plaza is not being included in this design. I think long term, we're going to regret not having that feel, and I think it's going to look quite disjointed, especially because they have the whole parcel out other than the Petrocan. My other concern is the right turning lane as you're turning from Mountain Highway to Lynn Valley Road, right at the corner where the Petrocan is. I and many other people have also almost been hit many times by cars who are turning right. And so I'm wondering if council would consider making that or giving that a right turn signal. But yeah, other than that, I support Polygon in this, and I'm very excited to see how it will impact Lynn Valley. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Dinah Fast. The next speaker I have is Rebecca Towning, also joining us virtually.
Hi, Mayor and Council. My name is Rebecca Towning. I live in the district of North Vancouver, and I also run my own consulting company doing tenant relocation work. So I'm in support of this project by Polygon, particularly as it relates to the approach being taken with the tenant relocation and retention. Through my work in tenant relocation across redevelopment projects, I see firsthand how disruptive the process can be for renters when it's not handled properly. What stands out for this proposal is a clear effort to both minimize displacement and meaningfully support existing tenants through the transition. This project is not only adding much needed new rental housing to the district, but it's also doing it while prioritizing existing community, and the commitment allows for current Draycock Garden residents to remain in their homes until new rental units are ready, along with the ability to move into new developments, which reflects a thoughtful and structured approach to the relocation. My relocation perspective, this significantly reduces uncertainty and risk that the tenants could face. Rather than forcing tenants into competitive rental market, the plan provides continuity and a clear path forward within the new redevelopment. The new rental homes themselves also represent a meaningful improvement for the tenants. In my experience, projects that take this level of care with tenants planning not only leads to better outcome for the residents, but also results in a smooth project delivery overall. The proposal sets a strong precedent for new development and the approach to the District of North Vancouver, balancing the needs of housing supply with responsible, well-managed transition for existing tenants. I truly encourage Council to support this application.
Great. Thank you very much for your comments, Rebecca Towning. The next speaker I have is Shane Lucy, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Shane Lucy. I'm a longtime resident of the District of North Vancouver. My wife and I bought our first home on William Avenue 18 years ago, pre-children. Since then, our family's grown, and we now have a 15-year-old son who goes to Argyle, who walks down that street every day, and two 10-year-old twins. We continue to raise them in our current home on St. James Road, all in the district. Before that, I rented a basement suite on Kirkstone while attending university. So I've experienced North Van from a few different angles. As a renter and a young adult starting out, now as a parent raising a family. I'm here tonight to speak in support of the Lynn Valley Mall and the Draycock Gardens redevelopment. So firstly, housing opportunity matters. When I lived in that basement suite, it was one of the only ways I could afford to stay in the community while going to school. And this kind of entry point is becoming harder and harder to find. If we want our kids and students and young families and seniors to stay here, we need more housing options, not just single family homes, but apartments, rentals, and attainable ownership. This project does exactly that. It transforms a site with very limited housing into homes for hundreds of people. And it's not just density, it's an opportunity. The second piece that resonated with me is this is exactly where this growth should go. You guys have designated Lynn Valley as a town center. It's part of your plan. And this is where the growth is planned. So if we don't put it here, and I understand the concerns from people around it, but where would you put it? Like where would the growth grow? It's near the shops, it's near the services, it's near the transit.
And for me to have more amenities nearby would take me out of my car more. I can find a lot in Lynn Valley Road, but I still have to drive. And I also like the Dairy Queen, but hopefully it will stay. But it would be nice to have more services and more shops and more amenities. And the Dairy Queen's great, but it's not a nice area. Pushing growth away doesn't stop it. It just puts people out of the community. And I thought this is a really thoughtful mid-rise development that fits with the Lynn Valley plan. Third, I think it strengthens our community. It brings new houses, it supports local businesses, it creates a more vibrant village core, and more residents means more customers and more activity in a safer, more complete neighborhood. I keep hearing the concern about all the kids migrating through that area, but my kid goes through there every day. And if that's not because of the traffic, they'll just go down Shakespeare. They'll cut right through the middle of that development where they've put that really nice walking path. They'll find a way to get through that's not adjacent to the cars because it's already really busy, and they find a path no matter what. We've built our life here, and from renting as a student to buying a home with my wife and to raising 3 boys, I want my kids to be able to start their adult lives here. And I don't think they can with the current housing, and not to be forced to leave. Like you've heard other speakers already say. So when the time comes, in addition, I want the option to downsize and stay in the community. And I don't currently see that happening with the amount of development is really nice. The stuff on the other side of Lynn Valley Road is great, but I don't think you guys approve enough development quick enough. And I think it goes back and forth for way too long from what I see. The options are really limited. And I think the projects like this create housing for every stage of life. And I would respectfully ask that council support this development.
Thank you very much for your comments, Shane Lucy. Next speaker I have is Patrick Kerr, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Patrick Kerr. I have lived in the Lynn Valley area for 13 years, and my family has deep roots in this neighborhood. My daughters attended Lynn Valley Elementary and Argyle Secondary. Like many families, we chose North Vancouver because of its quality of life, walkability, and connection to the nature. I want to begin by saying this plainly. I'm not opposed to housing or to growth, but I am concerned about how we get there. My concern today, whether this particular design places too much strain and too much risk on an already stressed neighborhood. The staff report says vehicle access for the project will be through the south lane, while the north lane will not be used for vehicles or will be instead upgraded for pedestrians. On paper, that may sound workable. In reality, for those of us who live here on or near Baird Road, it's not just another local street. It's used daily by residents, walkers, cyclists, dog walkers, and school children moving to and from Lynn Valley Elementary and Argyle Secondary. Even the project materials acknowledge existing transportation pressure. The transportation impact assessment confirms there's no continuous sidewalk on Baird Road, and the students were observed walking down the center of the road, which has been acknowledged earlier. The construction traffic materials also classify this as a Category 2 traffic management project affecting Lynn Valley Road, Ross Road, Baird Road, and both lanes. I'm also concerned about the environmental impact. The arborist report says no on-site trees can be retained, and the canopy cover will fall below 20% after removal of large diameter trees. This is happening next to Hastings Creek, which the watercourse report identifies as a fish-bearing watercourse. The same report recommends sediment controls, environmental monitoring, and even gives environmental monitor authority to suspend construction if there's environmental damage. Before this moves forward, I ask the council to require clear answers to these things. What specific traffic and parking mitigations will be enforced during and after construction? What binding commitments will protect tree canopy, runoff control, and Hastings Creek? And what is the contingency plan if the single lane access fails? The proposal has amended to provide sidewalk with the length of the property on Baird. But what about the district application to extend the sidewalk the full length from Herald to the end of Baird at Hastings Creek? If transportation is an underlying mantra, how do we get EVO car share extended beyond Highway 1 towards Lynn Valley? Residents are not asking for perfection. We're asking for a responsible planning grounded in how this neighborhood works today for growth tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Patrick Kerr.
Remind speakers that if they haven't submitted their presentations earlier, that they could submit them after they speak.
Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, so up until the time the hearing closes, people can submit comments by email, but also if you do come up and speak and you have printed notes that you want to share with us, the black tray on the desk there, anything you put in that tray, we're going to scan it and copy it and make sure that council has a copy of it as well. So if you did bring something that you want to share with the council, you can pop it in that tray. We're going to have a break at about 9:30. Feel free to walk up and drop it in there, and we'll do our best to make sure that it's all shared and part of the public record. But also until the time that the hearing is closed, we can receive your emails and comments and concerns about the item under consideration tonight. The next speaker I have is Emma McClellan, joining us virtually.
No, Emma.
We don't see an online participant that has a name that looks like Emma. So if you've got a different name that you're using on your virtual, it would be great if you could change it to represent Emma so we can add you to the meeting. We also have 4 people that are participating through the phone system. What is star? Emma, if you're one of the people on the phone system, it's *9 to raise your hand, so we can move you over to the meeting. But at this point, we don't have someone who reflects the name Emma, and I'm not seeing someone move over. So we're gonna carry on, and I'll circle back and see if Emma's joined the meeting or updated the name, and in a few speakers when we do the 9:30 break, I guess. Okay, next speaker I have is Oleg Lights. Joining us here in person, welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Oleg Lights. Funny enough, I'm here to speak about traffic lights.
Cool.
I live 5 buildings from the proposed development. And today I was pulling out of my driveway, passing the proposed development site, turning onto Lynn Valley Road. I stopped at the red light while the next intersection said green and empty. Okay, my light turns green. I advance a block and that intersection turns red again. So I stop again and repeated story at the 3rd intersection. So a sequence of 3. And I take that road often, and sometimes I see pedestrians walking, strolling by, and I meet them at the 3rd intersection. They're walking, I'm sitting in a car. And they're catching up. And while I'm sitting there at the empty intersection. When I was about 10 years old, my dad taught me what green wave was. I was sitting beside him, we were driving at the speed limit, and a car passing by. About 20 seconds later, that car was stopped by a red traffic light. And as we approached, that traffic light turned green, and we rolled through without even slowing down. So the lesson is that properly coordinated traffic lights reward steady driving. Here, it seems to be the opposite. It rewards rushing. It creates waste green time. It traps buses and cars in queues and creates frustration before this development is even built. So what I would like to ask the council is not to program the traffic lights tonight. It's pretty late. But I'm asking you to only approve this development contingent on a corridor level traffic operations review, post-occupancy monitoring, and retiming if conditions worsen. Because more residents will mean more trips, more deliveries, more turning movements, and more pressure on a system that's already failing to use the road space it has. Please make approval conditional on mitigation beyond the development site itself. Signal coordination review, spillback prevention, and follow-up monitoring after occupancy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Oleg Lights. I have two virtual participants coming up next, Amar Brar and Lisa Baines, but I don't see names that reflect that in the virtual waiting room list that we have. And so if you are, I do see a phone-in name that's raised their hand.
6.
If they can press *6, if that is Amar or Lisa, if you can press *6, we can move you over as a panelist.
Hi, hello.
Yes, hello. Is this Amar Brar?
Yes, it's me.
Welcome. I can hear you clearly. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Awesome. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Amar, and I live in Lynn Valley, or at least I'm trying to. I've been renting in this neighborhood for the past 5 years. I love it here. I love the trails, the community feel, the schools, the fact that I can walk to get groceries. This is where I want to put down roots. And for the past couple of years, I've been trying to buy my first home here. I have to be honest with you. The search, it's crazy. The resale market in Lynn Valley is almost entirely detached homes and older condos. There is almost nothing that's new, attainable, and right-sized to someone like me, a first-time buyer. I'm working a regular job trying to get into the market without a generational wealth transfer behind me. But when I heard about the Lynn Valley Mall and Draycott Gardens proposal, 333 new strata homes, 4 6-story buildings, walking distance from Lynn Valley Town Center, I paid attention. This is exactly what's been missing. Not luxury units on the periphery, not another tower disconnected from neighborhood life, new, attainable homes embedded in a walkable community I already love, close to the transit and services I actually use. I know some neighbors have concerns about density, about traffic, about change. I respect those concerns, but I ask council to also hear mine. Right now, people like me cannot afford to stay in this neighborhood long term. That's also a problem worth taking seriously. I'm not asking you to approve this project unconditionally. I'm asking you to give serious weight to the housing needs of people who want to be part of this community and who currently have nowhere to go. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments, Amar Brar. Do we have a person with the name Lisa Baines on one of the virtual participants, maybe perhaps with a different name? I don't see Lisa Baines, so we'll cycle back. The next is Imraz Rupani, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Imroz Rupani, and my family owns and operates the liquor store that's currently located in the Lynn Valley Mall. I'm here. We've operated the store since 2012, so we've been here for a while. And I'm here to support the proposed redevelopment, although that means that we'd be shut down for about a couple of years or however long that it takes for the development to take place. We intend to return once the construction is complete, and that we view this as a long-term investment in the community, especially because what's attractive is the higher density, more residents within walking distance, a stronger and more stable customer base, and also an influx of new younger families in the neighborhood because of the size and of the apartments and condos being contemplated.
I think it'll be a vibrant neighborhood. I think it's exceptionally important that commercial retail space be a part of the new development, especially because there's very limited commercial space available in Lynn Valley, and redevelopment should preserve and or expand the retail opportunities because it supports walkability, reduces traffic, and strengthens community. I think there is some things that we need to address though. I think there is a need for short-term surface parking for retail businesses such as mine, because we are a small business and we can't really compete with the larger government-owned liquor store across the street from us. We compete on convenience, access, and service. So in order to maintain that, it's essential that we have surface level parking, especially on Lynn Valley Road. I noticed that the area that's marked for transit, that's kind of until transit is a possibility in the future, we would hope that you would allow that to be used as short-term, like 15-minute parking for our customers to get quick in and out, because a lot of our customers stop by on their way home or on their way out. So just quick in and out definitely helps our business. And also, one of the things I would consider for that I hope the council would consider would be the type of the other businesses that would go in alongside us. So we would definitely like to see some other quick turnover businesses that encourage foot traffic, such as dollar shops or like a national dollar store chain or coffee shops, pet stores. I know this is a very pet-friendly neighborhood. Quick service restaurants. I know that Dairy Queen is very popular. Pharmacies, fitness studios, those kind of tenant mix would definitely be advantageous to our business. Just in the end, to summarize, I think density, retail space, accessibility is exceptionally important to our business. That's all I have, and I support this development. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Imraz Rupani, we love your products. All good. Next up, I have Cody Delasalle. It's not marked whether that's in person or virtual. Is there a Cody Delasalle here or virtual? If you are virtual, raise your hand, but I don't see a name that reflects that. Oh, yeah. Perfect. Wonderful. Yes, I do see a name that reflects that now. Cody, can you hear me? You are marked as muted in the Zoom system, so you may have to, through the software. There you go. Fantastic. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, and I do have video too.
Welcome. I can hear you clearly. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Okay. Looks like I cannot get the camera going. Anyways, I'd like to. My name's Cody. I live in North Van. I'm born and raised on the North Shore, and I'd like to speak in support of this project. It's clear we need a lot more housing in North Vancouver. Right now, there just isn't enough supply. It's not keeping up with the demand. We need there to be a lot more houses. And we can't solve this by stopping growth. It's unfortunate. And I do think that we need to build density in focused areas. And I think across the street, like right in this location, right with the mall there, like this is the perfect place to focus density. There's transit, there's shops, there's amenities. Like, I think that if we have projects like this in places like this, then it also benefits like the homeowners that live around the area, because if we don't want to drive, we can benefit from something that's walkable as well as the transit. At least that's my vision for North Vancouver. I'd like to keep the single family home vibe, but also have some larger city amenities close by and transit hubs like this. So anyways, that's my 2 cents. And I'd like to speak in favor of this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Cody Delasalle. The next speaker I have is Don Harder. Virtually. I see a hand raised. Oh, let me figure out. Is there a way to figure out who that is? Welcome, Don Harder. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the meeting.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's been great to have this opportunity to hear all the other points of views. I really appreciate this information, sharing it all. Over the past few years, I've followed the ongoing saga of residential development on the North Shore. I've read about various proposals and observed the changes that came about due to negative public response. I've read about district council trying to find the right balance between meeting the population goals set by the province and the public's refusal to accept change. The public outcry is often summarized with the phrase, "not in my backyard." Well, this particular development is literally in my own backyard. I find my judgment of the design aesthetic and its integration with the existing neighborhood has taken on a new critical level. The more I walk around the block and try and imagine how the proposed development would fit in, the more I think it is wrong for this area. I was going to talk about the traffic, but that has been well discussed by every second person up so far, so we don't have to go there. Looking through the recent district paper, I found a detailed plan of the buildings. I noticed the lobbies for buildings 3 and 4 are located on Baird Road. Have you made arrangements for short-term parking along Baird Road? The number of deliveries from DoorDash and Food to Go could make for a rather nasty parking scene. The road already gets crowded with the Amazon drivers double parking in the middle of the road. Short-term visitors might go looking for parking on Harold Road, where we already have parking issues with the Millhouse residents. When I read further through the recent changes to the design, I was cheered by the fact that the buildings along Baird Road would feature a setback on the 5th and 6th floors. This will visually soften the edge and provide more sunlight to the street level. Then I realized this change was only for the Baird Road buildings. We live on Harold Road, and our house backs onto the north side of the development. There is no proposed change to the roofline of the buildings along the north lane. From the Covo condos apartments to the apartments at Lynn Terrace and the houses between, there are many residents along the north lane than along Baird. The lane is much narrower than Baird Road, so the angle of shadow casting is that much greater. This is unacceptable to the people who live along Harold Road, who count on a certain amount of sunlight in their backyards. Is there a solution? Well, I think there is. Pause this design and go back to the OCP that has been in place for years. There was supposed to be a transition area from the single-family homes to the taller apartments in Lynn Valley Center. This could still work in the Draycott development. 4-story apartments around the perimeter with setbacks to the top floor would allow extra light that is so valuable on this mountainside. As you get closer to Lynn Valley Road, build higher, 8 to 10 stories, where sun shading won't affect so many existing residences. And to make it interesting, add some curves and unusual angles. A lot of these buildings are just big rectangular blocks, ugly. At the risk of getting a bit too sentimental, let me tell you about my own backyard. On summer evenings, my wife and I regularly eat on our back patio, enjoying the sounds of the kids in the playground at Draycott Gardens. Around 7 o'clock every evening, dozens of crows gather in the trees above Hastings Creek. Then, with a great racket, gradually head over to the trees above the kids in the playground. Then, picking up more crows, they head off screeching down to Burrard Inlet and their evening resting place. It's all part of why we love living in Lynn Valley. But as we lose more and more trees, we will also lose the crows and other birds. Now, crows are very adaptable and will find other flight paths down to the inlet, but they will wind up avoiding Lynn Valley, and that will be our great loss. Yes, change has to happen, but the transition doesn't have to be so harsh. And yeah, not in my backyard.
Thank you very much for your comments, Donna Harder. The next speaker I have, well, we did want to just double check in, and actually we have a couple of people that we've attempted to reach in the list. That would be specifically Emma McClellan and Lisa Baines. And we haven't been able to see someone virtual reflecting those, but I do see a phone caller with their hand up. We just double check, is it *6? If they press *6, next.
They're unmuted. They're unmuted now, so.
Okay, is the phone caller either Emma McClellan or Lisa Baines? They're not on the panel.
Hello? Hello?
Hi, is this
Hello?
Emma McClellan or Lisa Baines?
No, it's Lisa Baines.
Okay, welcome, Lisa.
Hi.
You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Okay, thank you. Hi, good evening. I'm a nurse and I've been renting in North Vancouver for about 2 years when I started working at Lionsgate. And I want to talk about what it's actually like to be a renter trying to build a life in this part of the city. The rental market in Lynn Valley is tight. It's actually really tight. When units do come up, they go fast and the rents have climbed significantly in the past few years. So for a lot of people in my situation, professionals who earn a decent income but don't have a family money behind them, the options are very limited. Rent something that eats most of your income, move further out and spend money on a car and commute, or just leave North Shore altogether. None of these feel like winning options to me. The Lynn Valley Mall proposal includes 32 new market rental homes. That's not a huge number on its own, but it's 32 more than that exists right now. And they'd be located in one of the most walkable, transit accessible spots in the entire neighborhood, right next to the Lynn Valley Town Center. And for someone like me, that matters enormously. I don't want to own a car. I want to walk to get to groceries, to grab a coffee, to get to the bus stop. And the idea of renting a purpose-built-in unit in a location rather than an aging secondary suite carved out of someone's basement is genuinely exciting to me. And I also do want to say that the rental replacement commitments for existing Draycott Gardens tenants in this proposal are meaningful. Keeping people housed at the same rent with their moving costs covered is the kind of tenant protection I want to see normalized in the city, just because it sets the standard. Lynn Valley is a neighborhood worth living in. This development makes it a little more possible for people like me to actually do that. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much for your comments, Lisa Baines. Okay, I said we would take a break at about 9:30. We're there. And so what's going to happen is we'll have a bit of about 5-minute leg stretch and rest. And then we're going to have our staff read into the record some clarifying questions that council has had along the way, and also read into the record their responses at that time. I'm prepared to say, with this many speakers still remaining for first-time speakers, and I'm sure there will be, it's just normal, there will be additional speakers who want to add their name to the first-time speakers, and some probably will want to do second-time speakers as we go out. I'm prepared to say that we are going to carry on to a second night at this point. By our own legislation, we can only go to 11 o'clock for the public hearing this evening. And so at this point, I will say that there will be an additional one. I just want to double check. We didn't check this with the council beforehand, but I think we blocked out 7 o'clock, but are all members of council available for 5 o'clock?
We blocked the calendar for 5 minutes.
We'll lose 2 council members. So I think we should probably just keep it at 7 o'clock start for tomorrow night, just for continuity, and because we want to make sure that we have a full council if we can. And so what that means is we're going to continue on tonight, but if you have to go, we'll do our best to accommodate you at the beginning of the next meeting where we can, assuming we get through the first-time speakers. But at this point, we're going to have a 5-minute break, and then we'll come back and hear the clarifying questions from council and their responses. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to resume the meeting at this point. As I said before the break, we're going to council members have had the ability to write down clarifying questions and share them with staff as we've been going through the meeting. And so our staff now are going to read those questions and their responses. Not every question sometimes questions crop up that can't be answered on the spot. We'll do our best to get a response. It may also be something that the response comes either at the extension tomorrow or possibly before second and third reading consideration, or if it's not bearing on the decision in front of us at some other time. But at this point, I'd like to have our staff question by question read the question into the record and provide their response, please. Microphone.
There we go. Thank you, Your Worship. The first question is to provide a response to the question of retail space regarding how much ground floor retail space will be lost. The proposal includes approximately 11,500 square feet of ground floor commercial and 13,500 square feet of second floor commercial. The total 25,000 square feet proposed is approximately a one-to-one match of the existing Lynn Valley Mall, which is also configured over 2 levels. However, the letter writer is correct that the ground floor of today's Lynn Valley Mall is larger than the ground floor retail space of the proposed Building 1. The existing mall is about 20,000 square feet on ground level. The size of Building 1 was constrained due to the TransLink dedication and the driveway orientation. The second question is whether all units convert to market rental once the Draycott residents move out. The original proposal was for market rental for all 64 units in Building 1. However, as we heard earlier tonight, based on input from the public and from council, the applicant is proposing to secure the 32 rental replacement 3-bedroom units at 20% below market in perpetuity. CMHC stats for D&B current market rent is about $4,327 for 3-bedroom units in buildings constructed after 2000. So 20% below today's market rent would be approximately $3,461 rent per month. As stated by the applicant tonight, these 32 3-bedroom units would be secured at 20% below market, aimed at BC housing middle-income households. They would be secured in perpetuity with a development covenant and a housing agreement. If council wishes to proceed, staff would bring a housing agreement bylaw to council for first, second, and third reading.
Okay, next question, please.
What is the total square footage of the property? The site is 3.5 acres, which is 14,408 square meters or 155,000 square feet. The next question is why was 1202 Ross Road not included in the project when it has direct access to the property? Although 1202 Ross Road is owned by an affiliated company and adjacent to the site, is not included in this application. The proposal has been designed to function independently, allowing the Ross Road parcels to be considered at a future time. If in the future, the Ross Plaza site is also going for redevelopment, combining that site with 1202 Ross Road would afford better development potential. However, we heard from heritage representatives today of that heritage resource. Does the applicant want to add anything on that? The next question is why would the district not secure the protection of 1202 Ross as part of this project? The Card residence at 1202 Ross Road is not part of the subject site, as I stated earlier. If in the future that site is up for development, staff would work with the applicant to seek options to protect that residence. Next question is why was the parkade ramp moved to the east side of the site? Doesn't it make more sense to get cars underground as soon as possible to lower the risk of interaction with internal pedestrians? Several factors inform the new location of the parkade ramp. First, phasing to construct Building 1 first means that the ramp must be accessible from the south lane, as the north lane doesn't connect to Phase 1, and must be located on the Lynn Valley Mall side of the project. With the angle of the driveway, it wasn't possible to safely place the ramp closer to Baird Road. By moving the ramp between buildings 1 and 2, there's a better resolution of vehicle flow, loading, and garbage staging, as well as leaving a direct route for the town center pedestrian path. How will the house at 1202 Ross Road be impacted by the access to the property? Is the driveway being widened? The house at 1202 Ross Road would not be impacted by this proposal. Widening the lane and adding the sidewalk would take place on the north side of the lane, not impacting this property. Extending the sidewalk to Ross Road would help in the district road allowance, also not impacting this property. In terms of heritage, the district has limited authority to enforce maintenance of community heritage register properties, such as 1202 Ross Road. As per the Local Government Act, the district can only establish minimum standards of maintenance for designated heritage buildings. Has a shadow analysis been done? The applicant provided a shadow analysis as part of the presentation to the advisory design panel in September 2025. Staff can share this tonight, and it has been added to the public hearing binder online by the clerk's office already. What is the setback on Baird Road? Buildings 3 and 4 are set back from the Baird property line by 4.5 meters, 14.75 feet. The top 2 floors are stepped back along the west side, Baird Road frontage, by an additional 2 meters or 6 feet. What is the heritage protection on the card house, and what would the impact of SHMU be on the property? In terms of heritage, the card residence is only identified on the register, not a permanently protected heritage resource. In terms of the SMU question, on April 13th, DNV Council voted not to implement SMU as implied by Provincial Bill 25 at this time. So at this time, there is no implication of SMU on this site. If the heritage resource of card residence is proposed to be protected as part of the redevelopment of 1202 Ross Road, the applicant can propose many types of infill development with additional density rights commensurate with the cost and effort of preserving the card residence. If the
You just answer the question though, what would the impact of SHMU be on the property? Not whether or not the district has supported it or not, but what would SHMU, how would SHMU affect the property?
If the province implemented SHMU, this would be in the 6 dwelling unit zone. And without further protection on the site, they would be eligible for that if I'm not mistaken. Mr. Milburn?
Your Worship, with respect to small-scale multi-unit housing, that's the acronym that we're all using of SHMU. It's essentially a form of density that the province has indicated local governments would need to consider by June 30th of this year. And the form of density, once applied, has an additional requirement that limits the ability of local governments to preserve and protect heritage properties that are developed in accordance with the densities permitted under the Local Government Act between 4 to 6 units in the District of North Vancouver. And that limitation is both a limitation for the designation, heritage designation, as well as the issuance of heritage alteration permits. So that leaves and quite significantly constrains local government's ability to protect heritage once small-scale multi-unit housing, once and if small-scale multi-unit housing is applied in the district. And that would apply to other communities that are subject to that regulation as well. Thank you.
Wasn't there also another retro date for designation of heritage housing that applied regardless of SMU?
And thank you. So the question of historical heritage protection. So if the property had been historically protected under the Heritage Conservation Act, under Heritage Revitalization Agreement, or Heritage Designation Bylaw, if those were essentially approved and in place by the time Bill 25 received royal assent in November of 2025, then those protections could continue to apply. This property that we're discussing tonight at 1202 Ross Road is not permanently protected and was not permanently protected at the time that royal assent was given to Bill 25.
Thank you. Next question and response, please.
Okay. Next question is, why did staff not include the shadow reports in the public hearing package? Because this proposal is currently at the rezoning stage, the shadow studies were included in the package to the advisory design panel in September 2025. However, in assembling the public hearing binder, staff made a mistake in only including the current architectural plans issued for rezoning. We became aware of this earlier today when a community member inquired about the shadow studies, which have now been added to the public hearing binder.
Thank you.
Next question is, what level of density does this development represent as identified in the OCP? This development matches with both or either the residential level 6 and commercial residential mixed use level 2 designations in the official community plan. Both are 2.5 FSR. In terms of amending the OCP, the Draycott Gardens side would be increased from 1.75 to 2.5 FSR. And on the Lynn Valley Mall, it would be a lateral move from residential level 6 to commercial residential mixed use level 2. Both permit 2.5 FSR, but residential level 6 only anticipates some commercial development. The next question is, could staff confirm if any of the funds that would come from this project be used towards restoring the Hastings Creek Trail if directed by council? In terms of the ACC funds collected from this development, council has adopted the first ACC bylaw, amenity cost charge bylaw, which lists 6 types of amenities that may be considered. Karen Magnuson Community Center expansion, Seymour Maplewood Community Center, sports fields, public art, arts, culture, and library amenities, and childcare facilities. This list in the amenity cost charge bylaw does not at this time include restoration of park trails, but the ACC bylaw is at council's discretion to amend by bylaw. In terms of DCC funds collected from this development, any spending has to be growth related. So depending on the scope of the restoration, if it is driven by growth, council may direct staff to consider funding the restoration of the Hastings Creek Trail as part of the upcoming DCC projects and budget discussion. What are the current rents that represent 20% below market rents? How many units does this include? Please provide all current rents from Draycott residents. The CMHC stats for District of North Vancouver current market rent for 3-bedroom units in buildings constructed after the year 2000 is $4,327. 20% below that current market rent would be $3,461 per month. Currently, 24 of the Draycott tenants have rents below $3,461. Overall, the Draycott tenants' rents range from $1,755 per month to $4,195 per month. Half of those units are above the DNV median of $2,551 for 2525 stats, and half of the Draycott tenants are, or half are above, half are below currently. Next question is whether parking spots are unbundled. The project includes 1 parking space for each strata home, and staff will defer to the applicant regarding whether the parking is attached to units or unbundled.
Do we have someone from the applicant who can address that at the microphone, please?
Your Worship, members of council. Presently, we haven't decided, but I think we'd unbundle the parking so that not every home had a parking stall. Someone could definitely buy there and not have a parking stall.
So in that case, the rentable units would have to pay an additional fee to rent a parking stall. Is that correct?
Well, I think for the Draycott tenants, some of them presently pay for parking and some of them don't. So we were going to respect that in the future building so that those tenants that were paying for parking would continue to pay for parking and those tenants that didn't wouldn't. Does that answer the question?
Thank you.
The next question is, how many tenants have indicated interest in returning? Tenants at Draycott have been presented with the options, but they do not need to decide yet. At this time, 9 households have provided the RTRAP household needs assessment forms, with 6 indicating an early preference to move into building 1, though decisions are not final at this point. Their confirmed number is not available at this time as participation is voluntary and typically finalized closer to building completion. Could staff speak to how we ensure the ground floor commercial uses support vibrant pedestrian-oriented uses like restaurants and small retail rather than lower activity uses? Can I share a slide?
You have to be, I can read that from.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, we're trying to share a slide.
If you need more time on that, we can circle back to that. That's totally fine.
Staff have a response. They were just looking to.
Microphone, please.
Pardon me. Staff have a response. We were just looking to share a slide. I suspect a excerpt from the bylaw that's before council tonight, which reflects use controls on the ground floor and in the second floor. That's designed to specifically accommodate and support the desired activity level. So vibrancy and activity on the ground floor. So I see we have that pulled up.
We have a slightly different view, but that's okay. So this table shows an excerpt from the CD zone. The uses highlighted in green are the uses that are permitted on the ground floor. They include restaurant and retail. They also include personal service, which speaks to the existing commercial tenants, such as the nail salon and laundromat, and animal care services, which speaks to the veterinary office that's included in Valley Mall right now. Additional uses highlighted in orange are permitted on the second floor, but not the first floor.
Great.
And for further through the development permit work that will continue, staff can encourage more vibrant uses through guidelines, including storefront transparency, weather protection such as canopies, and pedestrian-friendly interfaces to ensure the commercial frontages contribute to a lively public realm. Next question, although it is not long-term, can staff comment about construction traffic management plan and what is intended for Baird Road where the Argyle students walk? The preliminary construction traffic management plan acknowledges large numbers of students using Baird Road. Because construction will be on the east side of Baird Road, and because there are partial sidewalks on the west side of Baird, the plan will be to create a safe route for pedestrians along the west side of Baird, separated from the construction activities. This will require signage, barriers, and flaggers. Due to the number of pedestrians, the applicant will have to allocate resources accordingly. Next question is, will the new trees planted within the new development become protected trees? Yes, as per the tree protection bylaw, any replacement tree is a protected tree. The district arborist has reviewed the applicant's tree management plan and concurs with the consultant report. Where will all the parking be for the commercial, retail, etc.? The proposal includes a small number of short-term parking spaces on the surface along the driveway. The final number may shift as design progresses, but is currently about 6 parking places plus commercial loading. The majority of the parking is provided in the parkade, with 52 commercial spaces located on the first level, close to the parkade ramp and directly under the CRUs. Will the parking lane on the east side of Baird include short-term parking for delivery services? The plan for on-street parking or loading along the east side of Baird has not been finalized yet. District Transportation and Engineering manage any on-street parking restrictions, which may include loading zones or other strategies for curbside management. Are all 32 replacement units 3 bedrooms? Yes, all 32 units in Building 1 earmarked for Draycott Gardens residents are 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom units. Related, are all existing 32 Draycott tenants living in 3-bedroom units? Yes, the Draycott Gardens townhouses are all 3-bedroom, 1.5-bathroom units. Next question, are any of the existing commercial tenants being offered a first right of refusal for space in the new development? Staff's understanding is that conversation has been occurring between the applicant and existing commercial tenants, and some will return to the new development. However, staff have not been told whether there's a first right of refusal provision offered, and so I'll defer to the applicant on that question.
Members of council, we have been talking to all of the commercial tenants and we strongly encourage them to relocate back, and some of them are willing to do that. We do have one tenant with a first right of refusal, which is the liquor store. So if they'd like to come back, they're welcome to come back. As are all of the tenants welcome to come back.
Thank you.
They don't all have first right of refusal, but we would definitely talk to them first.
Thank you.
I think the next question, or we'll do two, question 26 next. What happens to the current businesses? Are they just displaced, or will there be assistance to locate space for them in the community? I think we've just answered this, that the liquor store has first right of refusal, and the applicant is happy to speak to the other businesses if they would like to return. And would you like to speak to any relocation assistance to the commercial tenants?
Your worship, members of council, we haven't offered any assistance to the commercial tenants, nor have they asked at this point. I guess we'll be talking to each of them.
So there's no assistance to relocate the existing businesses within the community?
No.
The next question is regarding small scale multi-unit housing. From the provincial website, the province has exempted certain lots, including lands with certain heritage designation. So yes, the province exempts certain heritage protected lands from SMU. However, that exemption applies only to the formally protected properties or those secured through a heritage revitalization agreement or designation, as well as a restoration covenant. At the time of the legislation receiving royal assent in November 2025, the card house has been and is currently only listed on the Heritage Register. Therefore, it would not be exempt unless additional protection is put in place. That concludes the council questions.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to carry on with the public input of first-time speakers. I believe that where we left off last time was Nancy Yazdan. Is Nancy Yazdan here? It's not indicating whether that's a virtual participant or an in-person. I don't see a name that reflects that. If you are attached to the meeting and you just don't have a name that reflects that, please update your name to the name you provided to the speakers list. That does help us speed it along. Okay, I don't see that, so we'll skip ahead. The next speaker is Deepak Sharma. Deepak Sharma.
Should be a pen.
We had seen Deepak on the virtual list, but I'm not seeing a name that reflects that at this moment. Okay, so I'll skip. Okay. The next speaker we have, and this often happens when you get this late in the evening, people amazingly don't have sticking around to a public hearing at the top of their agenda sometimes. Tracy Hughes is the next virtual participant that we have.
Hello, can you hear me?
Clearly, welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
All right, thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and Council. My name is Tracy, and I'm a Lynn Valley resident and a regular transit user, and I'm speaking in support of this project. I want to talk tonight about something that doesn't always get enough attention in development discussions. That is what this proposal delivers for the people of Lynn Valley who essentially have nothing to do with the housing itself. The infrastructure commitments in this project are significant, and I think they deserve to be heard clearly. This development proposes a 30-foot road dedication from the property designated for a new rapid bus transit node in Lynn Valley. So if you use transit in this neighborhood, you know how much transit matters. Lynn Valley has needed improved rapid transit access for a long time, and this proposal doesn't just build homes. It essentially helps to build the physical infrastructure for a transit future that benefits the whole community. The project also delivers a new sidewalk along Baird Road from Harold Road to Ross Road, a gap in our pedestrian network that many of us have been navigating around for years. And it creates a new north-south pedestrian pathway connecting the development directly to Lynn Valley Town Center. Together, these improvements make Lynn Valley more walkable, more connected, safer for people on foot and on bikes. On top of that, over 25 million is directed to the District of North Vancouver's infrastructure and community amenities, and more than 9 million goes towards Metro Vancouver and TransLink. These are real dollars flowing into the infrastructure that serves all of us, not just the future residents of this building. So on that note, I want to be clear. I'm not saying concerns about traffic or neighborhood character don't matter. They do. But the traffic studies conducted as directed by District of North Vancouver staff, they show roughly 3 additional vehicle trips per minute at peak hour. And engineering confirms Baird Road can handle more than this proposal will generate. So the infrastructure case for this development is strong, and I hope Council weighs it seriously. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you for your comments, Tracy Hughes. The next speaker I have is Lori Townsend.
See Lori online.
Joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Good evening, Your Worship and members of Council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Lori Townsend, and I live on Harold Road amongst the houses and townhouses immediately north of this proposal. I'm against the bylaw changes in this development. Why? Because Lynn Valley deserves better. The people of Lynn Valley and the people who will live here in the future deserve much better. There is a lost opportunity here to do something truly beautiful while also fulfilling OCP goals without changing zoning. This proposal with 4 large boxy buildings, it is too massive, too dense, too tall, too flat, is without any variety of shapes, and does not fit with the character of the neighborhood it is part of, or the character of the natural beauty, the forest and mountains that surrounds us, which is what attracts people to live here. There are so many problematic issues that the good is completely overshadowed. The impacts of single vehicle access from a side street will be staggering. On the Draycott Gardens property alone, there will be 270 dwellings where there is now 32. The total project is 397. A few more concerns: zigzagging, contorted vehicle routes to enter, choke points that will cause severe traffic congestion, pedestrian safety, parking will increase on surrounding side streets, possible damage to Hastings Creek and harm to fish, loss of bird and pollinator habitats. I believe the OCP was prepared thoughtfully with a vision for Lynn Valley that includes significant growth. So why are you not trusting the recently updated OCP that designated buildings, the one at Draycott Gardens about 4 stories and one at the mall up, I think, 6 stories? Here are a few quotes from the OCP that are clearly not being followed in this proposal. New development should relate to and harmonize with the height and scale of neighboring buildings by incorporating complementary building forms and transitional heights. Complement the neighborhood character with minimum impact on adjacent properties. Design must carefully consider both the existing and future relationships of surrounding properties. Stepped building forms are encouraged. Focus ground-oriented multifamily housing along the edges of the town center and transition sensitively to surrounding low-density residential areas. Well, these properties are on the north and west borders of the town center. The proposed buildings will dwarf immediate neighbors living in 1 to 3 story homes. Definitely not a sensitive transition. In October, I attended the information meeting and found the answers provided by Polygon staff very interesting. Why is everything 6 stories? Wood frame maximum height is 6 stories. Why wood frame? It's cheap. We have lots of wood here. Why flat roofs? Cheaper to build. Why no setbacks? Too expensive. Why so much black cladding? Dark colors make surfaces look recessed. How much more uninteresting and against OCP guidelines can this get? The exterior surface color palette of black, brown, and white is supposed to give a mountain village feel, they said. That's definitely not the feeling I'm getting. My new view will be an expansive wall of mostly black and will be pretty depressing to look at on a dreary, drizzly winter day. And not so cheery in the summer either. Last month, Polygon made a change to the plan, putting step backs on the west side of floors 5 and 6 for the buildings facing and overlooking Baird Road. I have to ask, why didn't they think of doing the same for the north side? There are homes all along the north side. According to the shadow study that I got today, our homes, decks, and gardens will lose direct sunlight for significant periods of the year and much reduced daylight for the rest of the time. Daylight is so important to us. The other day, I met an exasperated neighbor. After a big sigh, she said, "But we can't do anything about it." I really hope she's wrong. So here we are, citizens who don't do this kind of thing day in and day out. Yet here we are, because tonight is our last opportunity to advocate for something different than the cheap and lots plan on offer. You are representatives of the people making decisions on our behalf to do the right things for our community. This is what you do day in and day out. Tonight, I'm here to ask you to vote against the bylaw amendments to the OCP and say no to this proposal. Please send Polygon back to the drawing board. Give them the directive to let their architects design creative and interesting places while working within the OCP carefully chosen zoning for these properties.
Close, please.
This is a rare opportunity to create something spectacularly good for the property, for this community, because Lynn Valley deserves spectacular. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Lori Townsend. The next speaker I have is David Price. I don't know if this is virtual or in person. Just double check.
Dave.
We have a Dave virtually, but and we do have a couple hands up on some of the call-in people. Just to be clear, we're still going to go through the first person order. So if you have your hand up virtually and you're not called, you may as well lower your hand. We will get to you eventually. I have no way to check whether it's Dave.
Dave is unmuted. Dave is unmuted, so it's Dave.
David Price, can you hear me? It must not be David Price. Okay. Well, we don't have anyone who's identified as David Price in the virtual at this time, so we will circle back and see if we can get that updated. So we'll leave that blank at this time. The next speaker I have is Marnie Rice. Joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you. My name is Marnie Rice and I live at 1195 Ronayne Road at Baird Road. I estimate it's about 100 meters from the northwest of the development. Just to thank you, Your Worship, and members of council for this opportunity to express my opposition to the OCP amendment and rezoning for Draycott Gardens and Lynn Valley Mall. After 3 hours and 35 speakers, I don't want to do I want to add something new and not repeat what I've heard before, but the height, the massing, the traffic, the students, the egress, all are issues that are problematic for me as a resident who lives nearby. I'm also friends with Lori and Dawn, who are about to have a massive shadow cast over their home, and I find that upsetting and disrespectful. 6 stories is too high. It's not in character with the neighborhood. And I guess my question to council, and hopefully this will be posed to the developer, is can the infrastructure payments to the district and to TransLink still remain at 4 or 5 stories with a setback without changing the zoning? That's the key question. It's simply too high. And if we're driving forward to try to answer questions of the Housing Supply Act, which is about to be a game changer, I understand. But it seems to me that that there's still things that we can do that are in our control, that can answer issues of housing. I haven't heard anyone here that's here tonight that is opposed to the development. I attended a meeting 10 years ago with the district to understand the changes that were going to be coming, in particular to the mall site. I didn't understand that we would be going for 2.5 FSR on Draycott Gardens. I think that's it's disrespectful to the neighbors and to the design that does exist to the neighborhood. Over the years, I have witnessed your pushback against developers when projects are out of scale with district neighborhoods, and I believe that's the case here. I've also admired when council listened to our local community when they rose up against BOSA's initial overscaled proposal on the former Zeller site at Lynn Valley Centre. So here too are height, massing, lack of variation issues with phase 2, in particular buildings 3 and 4 at 3050 to 3174 Baird Road. And I noticed that Polygon's proposal states that each building is 6 stories, which is consistent with adjacent town center developments. However, a short walk around the perimeter of Lynn Valley Centre shows that condos and rentals built within the last years, I understand before the Housing Supply Act, are built within existing zoning and so limited to 4 and 5 stories, notably often with setbacks on the top floor. I walked around Walter's Place, which is 5 stories at 1335 Draycott, that includes a top floor setback in respect of the detached homes across the back alley, similar to what my neighbors on Harold Road will experience here. The Mill House is 4 stories at Lynn Valley United Church at 3205 Mountain Highway. Canyon Springs is a mix of 4 and 5 stories at 2665 Mountain Highway. Talaswood, Juniper, and Hawthorne buildings are 5 stories at 2651 Library Lane. The residences at 2738 are also 4 stories. And even the residences at 1295 Conifer includes pedestals of 2-story townhouses. So this can be done. We can reduce the massing and we can change the design that shows a better graduation between the high density actually at the town center that eases down to where there are townhomes and single family homes and cul-de-sacs and the Lynn Valley Link Trail. Like really, we need to have something that's appropriate and respectful to the neighbors, both in Draycott Gardens and those who are coming and those who live here now. I took a lot of heart from the folks from Heritage who were talking about the lack of inclusion of Cart House and Ross Road Plaza. I do not understand why we can't pause this and turn this into a more comprehensive plan. And I also find it inexplicable that part of the neighboring infrastructure improvements are to consider closing access to Ross Road from Lynn Valley Road to solve traffic issues with a McDonald's drive-through. I don't understand why we're privileging this building and how it aligns with any council priorities. Why not close it altogether or require it to move to a smaller footprint at the Lynn Valley Centre? It's a better fix for the traffic problems that your predecessors on council created. They approved a drive-through that since created decades of unsafe road conditions on a short block of Ross Road. If the fast food restaurants is closed or moved, the future BRT platform could be moved 30 meters west to the former McDonald's site, and access point to the Polygon development could be created on Ross or Lynn Valley roads. In conclusion, I urge you not to allow an amendment to the OCP with higher density on the site. Send the proposal back to Polygon for a more reasoned development, especially for phase 2, buildings 3 and 4, and a plan that includes the Card House property in Ross Road Plaza. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much for your comments, Marnie Rice. Next, we have virtual participant David Wasota. Oh, sorry, just before we get going, David, I do have a housekeeping matter to attend to. In order to extend the meeting beyond 10:30, I need a motion from council. It's been moved by Councilor Murray. I'll second it. Call the question. All in favor? Contrary minded? Motion is carried. So to extend beyond 10:30, we require a majority vote of council. To extend beyond 11 o'clock, it's a unanimous vote of council, which I will not be contributing my vote to it, so it will not get a unanimous vote. We are not going beyond 11. Okay, at this point, I'm going to carry on with the list. David Wasota, the floor is yours. Welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you hear me?
Clearly. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Council. My name is David Wysota. I'm a Lynn Valley resident, and I'm speaking in support of the project for several reasons, primarily due to the need in our community for diverse housing options for long-term residents. I live off Mountain Highway. I drive by the site several times a day. I walk through the village often, so I know it well. To me, it's the perfect location for this type of redevelopment. It's a prime location. It's in the community core. And what's currently there is aging and underutilized. The proposal from Polygon's thoughtful, balanced, and addresses several key concerns, particularly providing options for and support to the existing residents of the Draycott Gardens. Lynn Valley needs more housing options like this that allow new entrants, growing families, and downsizers to stay in the community through different stages of life. We have a strong supply of single-family homes, but need a broader offering that reflects different needs, wants, and life stages. The reason I feel that way is because we went through it ourselves. I grew up on the North Shore. It's always been important to me to eventually live here and raise my family here. But when my wife and I were ready to buy, there simply weren't enough options in Lynn Valley to fit our needs and budget. Most of the options we saw in North Vancouver were in the city, which didn't fit our lifestyle. We ultimately ended up buying in Port Moody. We moved there, started to build a life there. Fortunately, we were able to make our way back. But at that point, it wasn't easy to leave that community in life once we become a part of the community. And I think that's the real risk when we don't have housing offerings that match what people need at various stages. People may leave and they may not return, especially once their kids are in school and community programs. We have several friends in that situation right now. On the other side, the same challenge exists for downsizers. My parents live nearby in a single family home. They're considering downsizing, but they feel that there's not enough options on the North Shore that fit their needs. Lynn Valley is where both me and my brother are. Our children are, their grandchildren. My dad wants to be close to trails. My mom wants to be close to coffee shops. So a development like this one would be a very natural choice for them. I think projects like this help create a strong housing continuum that a community needs, a place for those that don't want a detached home, which then allows growing families to move within the same neighborhood, potentially with no change of school for their kids, and also gives downsizers the opportunity to move in the other direction within the community. Economically, I think it also creates a much stronger and healthier real estate market within the community, provides new and vibrant commercial opportunities, businesses, jobs, and a property tax base. And I think it's also important to consider that we maintain relationships with developers that are willing to put together thoughtful proposals like this one to make continued investment in the community attractive. I think the site is a great place for it because it replaces an older, underutilized space with a more complete mixed-use village center. It keeps retail, it preserves and adds to existing purpose-built rental housing with some affordability, and adds much-needed homes in the heart of the neighborhood. To me, it just feels like a natural evolution of the Lynn Valley core and creates a more vibrant neighborhood and provides more options for long-term residents at any stage of their life. For those reasons, I think this project is needed. I think it's appropriate, and I think it's in the right location. So I encourage council to support
it. Thank you very much for your comments, David Wasota. The next speaker we have is Lynn McCart, joining us here in Council Chamber. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good evening, Mayor and Council members. My name is Elaine McCarg, a North Shore resident for over 30 years and currently leading the North Shore Community Foundation work. Through this public input, you've heard from many different perspectives. It is recognized that the evaluation and approval of these major placemaking developments are complex and reliant on the expertise of council and staff. The perspective I bring tonight is primarily focused on the social well-being that purposeful town center developments can bring to the residents of the community overall. There are several key points that I want to address tonight. One, the mix of housing options. This is a significant opportunity for the neighborhood of Lynn Valley. It will provide a range of residential housing, both rental and ownership, and sizes, which will appeal to many different ages and life stages. This mix of ages and experiences enriches one's sense of community. It is the day-to-day encounters between neighbors which build connections. Research indicates that our personal sense of belonging is dramatically improved through simple acts like knowing and using a person's name or recalling an important activity. This is what happens between neighbors in well-designed spaces. Second, upgrade of commercial space will provide opportunities for more neighborhood-focused businesses to be established in this area of North Vancouver. The proposal accommodates well-known and popular current businesses, like the Dairy Queen, to remain while also appealing to new businesses who may not have previously considered the Lynn Valley area. This will expand the scope and range of services available to Lynn Valley and increase commercial appeal and vibrancy. The various infrastructure improvements enhance walkability, active transportation, and transit. It also enhances public spaces and expands the resources such as the local library and recreational facilities nearby, not to mention the mountain area. A standout element of this proposal from a social wellness perspective is the mindful approach Polygon has taken to the treatment of the existing residents during the development period and also their longer-term well-being with secure and stable long-term housing options. The tenant relocation and retention package for existing residents is an example of how developers can look beyond the building plans to consider the impact on people who live there now and in the future. And in many ways, it sets a new standard of care. This speaks to a planning attitude that imagines what the development will bring through the various different phases of construction, and importantly, what it will look like after the construction is completed. Perhaps one of the most vital aspects of this type of project is the reputation of the developer. Their understanding of local needs, municipal and neighborhood, and the people who live there is key to delivering projects that each person involved can be proud of and confident that it hits the mark for the long term. It is well recognized that major development projects can be challenging and require fortitude and foresight, especially in challenging economic periods. Every municipality has hopes and dreams that are reliant on strong partnerships. Polygon is a known and respected entity with demonstrated leadership in the community over many, many years. Their commitment to the project will help it be successful to people who are going to live, work, and play in this beautiful community. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much for your comments, Elaine McCarg. The next speaker I have is Tom Leo. We don't see a name that reflects Tom on the virtual, and it was indicated that Tom would be accessing the meeting virtually, so we're going to carry on. That is heard. The next speaker I have is Jeff Crowter. Jeff Crowter, joining us here in person. Welcome. When you're comfortable, you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Thanks very much. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here to support the proposal. I go back a long way in Lynn Valley. I remember logging trucks coming down Lynn Valley Road, and the Cedar Theater is where this proposal used to be. There used to be a big Quonset hut, and there was a BA gas station for 35 cents a gallon was the earliest I can remember. Anyway, this is the way I worked. I walked to Argyle every day too, along Baird Road. And there used to be a parking lot at the back of Argyle. And that road was extensively used by traffic back then. It's no longer there, but there was a time when there was more traffic there. The existing Lynn Valley Mall is looking pretty shabby these days. I think a development like this would really freshen up the whole area. I like the fact that it provides significant rental and downsizing opportunities. It's a good mix. I also like that it will open access to Hastings Creek. Hastings Creek, I used to play in Hastings Creek, and I want more people to enjoy it. On the west side of Argyle, all the way down to Lynn Creek where it exits, more people should have access to Hastings Creek. I like the pedestrian walkway that they're proposing. I feel that the design complements the library across the street, directly across the street. It looks like they're tailor-made for each other. What else? Height-wise, I think it's better than the towers that exist on the other side of Lynn Valley Center there, the BOSA development and that. It doesn't block the views, the mountain views as much as a couple of high towers would do. And in Lynn Valley, 200-foot trees aren't unusual. 200-foot cedar trees aren't unusual. And speaking of traffic, I mentioned the Baird Road thing, but the one thing that I'm really glad they're proposing to remove is the left turn lanes into, the left turn lanes onto Ross Road there, where the McDonald's is. That little short cutout, I've had to slam on the brakes after going through that light, and people, if two cars can't fit in that left turn lane. And likewise, when people are exiting the current mall, Lynn Valley Mall, they're turning left out of the mall and usually going to Mountain Highway. They cross over 3 lanes of traffic. I find that's very dangerous. In the old days, the Lynn Valley Days Parade used to turn left onto Mountain Highway. And I think we should make this the hub of the community again. And with all the development south of 28th and the mall, the library and this development could really make that place the center of the community again. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments, Jeff Crowder. Okay, so where we're at this point is we've gone through the people who had signed up first to speak. Again, we will have a second night of speakers tomorrow night, and first-time speakers will again be welcome next time. Is there anybody here who has waited throughout the whole evening and wants to be a first-time speaker in the room? I'll just check. Are you a first-time speaker?
Speaker, but I'm more than willing to have it close and just go for tomorrow if that's.
We're going to go to 11 either way because we just want to get through as many. So yes, I think you signed up, you tried to sign up just before the meeting. And so, yeah, come on up. If you could start with your name, that would be appreciated.
First of all, I apologize. It's very late for me. I've been up since 4:30 this morning for work. So if I'm a bit tired, I do apologize. Good evening. My name is Julie Goodfall. I am a resident on Baird Road at the end of it. So it does hold significance to me. And to the developers, I want to say thank you for considering and recognizing the fact that there are residents in the community that will need the housing. I applaud you for consideration of that. But I want to address the fact that there seems to be a bit of a disconnect when it comes to the submissions and what people are saying. They either are for or against the development. It's almost as if it's a full stop. I don't think that's necessarily what it is. I think what it is for the residents that live on Baird Road, on Harold, on Roneen, and those specific areas, the concern regarding the density of it and concern regarding the structure and the way it's configured. I think most of us that have lived in Lynn Valley for as long as we have recognized, over 10 years ago, the OCP changed, and we recognized there was going to be an increase in density. You referred to North Van District, Lynn Valley itself as the downtown core back then. So we recognize that, and we're not adverse to that. However, I'm not going to go along like everybody else regarding the traffic and the density issues. That's well addressed. I think council is very much aware of how residents, who are actually the ones that are going to be there, feel about it. But what I do want to address is the consideration that you have just about 400 resident condos there. Somebody else addressed the missing middle and the use of townhomes and row houses. That could have dissipated some of the concern for the shadowing that's going on there. And why not? What I don't understand, and maybe it's a question that can go towards the developers, the way they configured the project. The bigger issue also seems to be that the two taller buildings are facing Baird Road, and that's causing concern. So you have the issue of the shadowing that's going on there. That could have maybe perhaps mitigated it. And also the concern for the fear of loss of Card House. To say that they can't do anything, I find that disconcerting when there is a heritage home on Harold Road that you folks approved. And I applauded you for it. I applauded you for the way it was done. It was respectful of the neighborhood. It was concise, and it was effective for parking and management of that. So I just want to close on one thing, and I'm going to read a quick statement, and I have enough time for it too. Our MP sent out its newsletter. Mr. Wilkinson sent it out, and I'm going to read just one comment, and I think it also addresses the concern for most people here. He says his role in Ottawa as a member of MP is to make sure the federal government is a real partner in building the kind of community we want. It means supporting housing projects that add gentle density in our established neighborhoods while respecting the character that people cherish. Being named Canada's top city for the second year in a row is a recognition of what we have already built together. The real test is what we do next, ensuring that this most livable city is truly livable for everyone who calls it home today and for those who hope to call it home tomorrow. I respectfully hope that you consider all elements of what we need to do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Thank you.
I have two virtual participants that are using the call-in system. Would the person who's on the phone ending in 816, if you can press *6 and unmute, we'll be able to hear you.
Hi, my name is Deepak Sharma. I was number 32 and I missed my screen. Can you hear me?
Deepak Sharma?
Yes.
Fantastic. Welcome. We can hear you clearly. Just to speak nice and loud into the phone, but you have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
Absolutely. I apologize for missing my turn. I appreciate the opportunity here. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Deepak Sharma, as I just mentioned. I am a young person who commutes to work to Lynn Valley, and I've been doing so for about the past 5 years. I'm here trying to speak in support of the Lynn Valley Mall and Draycott Gardens development proposal. I want to approach this from like a practical standpoint because I think this is where the conversation is most useful. I'm at a life stage where I'm actively looking to establish myself in this community for the long term. I've been through this community in like tough times, such as when unfortunately we had that Saturday where there was a very traumatic incident about 5 years ago. I've been there with when our Blackbird pub was closed. But I'm now looking forward to seeing the towers are here, but then there's these market rental based opportunities such as this one. I have a stable income, a professional career, and a generous desire to rent. Sounds silly, but I genuinely do, and eventually own in a neighborhood like Lynn Valley. The walkability, the access to nature, the proximity to town center, these are exactly the qualities I'm looking for. The challenge is that the rental market in Lynn Valley does not have much to offer someone in my position, which is purpose-built rental units are very, very rare. When they do become available, as we noticed with towers, competition is immediate and rents are high relative to what the stock provides. For a lot of professionals my age, the practical outcome is that we end up living further away. For me, that's an 1.5 hour commute each morning, in neighborhoods that are well less connected to simply because the supply is not there. The proposal addresses that directly. The new market rental homes included in this project are purpose-built, well-located, and situated in one of the most walkable parts of the neighborhood. That is a meaningful addition to a market that is currently underserving people like myself. I also want to acknowledge the broader project on its merits. The infrastructure commitments are substantial. Over $41 million directed to district, Metro Vancouver, and Translink priorities. The tenant protections for existing Draycott Garden residents are thoughtful and well structured, aligned with my personal values, and why I even feel comfortable being in support of this proposal. The traffic analysis conducted conversely or directed by DMV staff confirms the impact on surrounding roads is manageable. This is a well-considered proposal. It responds to the OCP. It addresses a genuine gap in the housing market for our Lynn Valley community, and it does so in a location that is built exactly for this kind of growth. I respectfully encourage council to support it. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you very much for your comments, Deepak Sharma. Okay, we have another person who's called in on the phone system. This is the phone number ending in 042. If you press *6, we should be able to hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep, can you hear me?
I can clearly. If you could start with your name, that'd be appreciated, but welcome. You have 5 minutes to address the hearing.
All right, thank you. Good evening. My name is David Price. I grew up in the Lynn Valley. I actually went to school to Argyle Secondary School, so I've been there for a while. I had my first job here. I spent most of my teenage years on these trails. The neighborhood shaped me, and then I grew up, and I just couldn't afford to stay here. I'm not here to tell a sob story. I'm actually a Red Seal electrician that pays pretty well. I'm managing my money very carefully. By most measures, I'm doing fine. But I'm now renting a place almost 45 minutes with traffic, almost an hour away, because Lynn Valley simply doesn't have the rental housing stock for someone that's at my stage of life. The units that come up, they're either unaffordable, unsuitable, or they're gone within 48 hours. I want to be honest about what that feels like, not just financially, but just personally. There's something quietly painful about watching a community that made you just go further and further out of reach. I see my parents, my old neighbors, the businesses I grew up with, and I can't go back on a consistent basis. When I heard about the Lynn Valley Mall development, 32 new market rental homes right next to the town center, walking distance from everything, I actually felt something I haven't felt in a while about housing in the city. I feel like something might actually be possible and something might actually be done. Obviously, 32 units isn't going to solve the rental crisis. I know that. But they are 32 real homes for 32 real people who want to be part of this community and currently have no path to do that. I'm not asking you to fix everything tonight. I'm asking you to take one concrete step toward a Lynn Valley that has room for the people that grew up here and for the ones who are still trying to find their way back. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you very much for your comments, David Price. Okay. We are up against the time limit for this evening. Maybe I could take one more speaker. Is there one more speaker who wants to go at this time? I'm also happy to just move on for the night. Okay, so council, what I'm looking for from you is a motion to adjourn. It's moved by Councillor Murray. Oh, sorry.
We have to state the date, time, place.
And we will adjourn and reconvene at 7 o'clock on April 15th. That's tomorrow at 7 o'clock here at the council chambers. Okay, is that moved by Councillor Murray?
Yes.
Okay, seconded by Councillor Ma. Prepared to call the question. All in favor? Contrary minded, motion is carried. So just to clarify where we're at, we haven't closed the hearing. The hearing continues on tomorrow night. And so we can still receive your submissions. If you want to send us an email, all good. At the time we do close it, at the end of the public hearing, you won't be able to do that anymore. So if you had something you want to send in, still the time to do it. And then we'll theoretically wrap up tomorrow evening at some point. We'll start the evening tomorrow night seeking any additional first-time speakers. And once we're exhausted on that, then we'll go to second-time speakers and then we'll try to wrap up the evening at that point. But thank you very much to staff for preparing the reports for our consideration. Thank you to the applicant for their presentation this evening. Thank you, members of the public, for participating. Everybody have a great evening. Hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow night.